Coming up now is another sparkling Two Mikes podcast. You're just a downbeat wet blanket, fairly lazy, slow, champagne guzzling bum. This is where your crass stupidity about all matters football
There's no need
right
to be rude.
to the surface. There's nothing rude about calling you a crassly stupid individual. I'm just stating the facts. Look into the light phone home.
This is Talk Sport Extra Time. We are the Two Mikes, and it's time to say a very good Easter weekend and a very big warm welcome to Mr. Mike Parry. Very good morning to Mr. Parry.
Yes, a very good morning to you, Mike, as well. I have to say that it has been a very dramatic weekend. You're absolutely right. Of all those 4 volleyed goals, right, or long-range goals, the ones I'm talking about, old Charlie, what's his name, are at Stoke, is it?
Hey?
You know, the guy who scored the longest...
Charlie Adam,
right, and all those goals. And Jermaine Defoe and all that. But the one, of course, that was the most skillful and the outstanding one was Wayne Rooney's. Because the others were
people have been arguing about this. Bobby Zamora's was pretty good as well.
Bobby Zamora's was all right, but what I'm saying is the others were just lucky punts. You know, it was a kind of, hit it and see what happens, whereas Rooney plucked the ball out of the air, swiveled round, it bounced once to set him up nicely on the it sat up for him and whack, and he hit it. It was incredibly
It was
skillful.
an amazing goal. I don't know whether you could say which one of those 4 was great. All I know is that it was fantastic to see so many great goals going in.
It was.
But do you know what I thought when I watched them all going in?
Yeah.
I thought, and I know that Charlie Adams, that's Scottish, right? But I thought to myself, why don't we ever see any goals like that going in for England?
Well, you just don't, do you? I mean...
Well, I don't. That's why I'm asking the question.
Well, exactly. Well, there is no answer to that question. The reason they happen in the Premier League games is we've got the greatest league in the world, the Premier League, but not the greatest international football team, and that is simply the answer.
Yeah, but all the players in the England team play in the greatest league in the world, supposedly. Yeah. So what does that tell you?
They get overshadowed sometimes by some foreign players. But anyway, that is by the by, OK? That is a reflection on the weekend that's gone.
I've been thinking about you over the weekend.
Oh, have you? It's very kind of you.
I brought you in a present.
Excellent.
Which I'm going to give you a little bit later on in the show.
Okay, an Easter present?
Well, it's an Easter present, yeah.
An Easter present, great,
I mean, I'm sorry to say you never did bring me an Easter egg, so...
Well, I decided not to. I mean, we did decide that it wouldn't do your teeth any good, wouldn't do your face any good, because it'd get, wider and fatter, wouldn't do your body any good, wouldn't do your knee joints any good, because of the weight that it would put on them, so I decided not to.
Okay.
I did give you some hot cross buns on Friday when I saw you.
Did you? I don't remember that.
I did. I gave a packet of hot cross buns, because I gave all my hot cross buns away.
Funny enough, I woke up on Saturday morning with some hot cross buns.
Well, there you go.
I thought I'd bought them.
And then you've been drinking heavily on Friday.
I thought I'd bought them on the way home.
No, I gave them to you because I said I was giving away my hot cross buns, because I bought 70.
Well, you said you were going to eat them over the weekend.
No, I didn't eat any.
Why not?
Gave them all away.
What, to the down and outs?
No, not to the down and outs. I gave some away to a taxi driver the other night when he took me home. I said, wait here, mate, I'm going to get you a tip, and I got him a packet of hot cross buns. No, I did. I
bet
did.
he was immensely grateful.
I bet he was.
Because you could buy them for like 25p.
Well, I gave a packet away to the paper boy yesterday morning.
Well, that's kind of you.
I gave 2 packets away to my neighbour across the...
the woman?
The Esplanade, yes.
Oh, very nice.
And,
how did she react to that?
I took some down to my sister's house, so I got them all away in the end.
How did she react to the hot cross bun
Very grateful, of course, very grateful.
Really?
Now, listen, a miracle happened today.
Did it?
And I mean a real miracle.
Well, it is Easter.
It's Resurrection Monday, is it? Not just gone.
Yeah, well, it was, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Now, you won't believe this, and
I don't think it's ever been called Resurrection Monday.
It is Resurrection Monday.
It's Easter Monday, they call it.
No, that's when Christ rose from the dead, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but they never called it Resurrection Monday.
Well, it is Resurrection Monday. I'm calling it Resurrection Monday, because I'm going to tell you why in a minute.
Super Sunday, that kind of thing.
Now, listen, yesterday was quite a nice day.
It was very nice.
So at some stage during yesterday when I was...
It was as hot as 21 degrees in places.
Okay, when I was boiling some vegetables in the kitchen...
Oh, yeah, like you do.
Yes, like you do. I opened the little window.
Yeah, to stop it steaming up.
Yes, exactly, the window light, the one above the big window.
I don't know, I've never seen the windows in your place.
Oh, well, OK. Well, it was only open, I would say, for about an hour, because then, as happens at this time of the year...
Well, because by then you finish boiling the vegetables, right? After an hour, they're pretty much done.
No, what I'm saying is, it was quite nice to have a bit of fresh air in the house, but then, at that time of the day, at this time of the year, it suddenly goes cold. So you decide to close it. So I go in the kitchen, because I felt a draft, and I close it.
Right.
Now, this morning I get up, right, and I walk into my kitchen, and there is a big black blob right in the middle of the floor. Right in the middle of the floor.
A blob?
A big black blob.
Right. What sort of size of a blob?
I would say about the size of a ping-pong ball. Right?
It's not that big, then.
Well, it's big-ish. So, anyway, I didn't have my glasses on, so I only got my glasses, because I thought, well, who knows what this could be.
Yeah.
And I come back, and it is a queen bee.
Really? How do you know it was a queen bee?
Well, it was massive.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. It was a bumblebee.
Yeah. Some of the bumblebees now are huge, aren't they? I don't think they're necessarily queens, though. I think they're just big.
It was such a big bumblebee, I could actually see the yellow and black stripes in its, its bodywork, or whatever you call it. You know what I mean?
It's fur.
Yeah, it's fur, yeah. Now then, I thought, this is obviously a problem. Well, this is a problem I didn't know. So what I did is, I got some kitchen roll.
Yeah.
And I soaked it in warm water, and then I put some sugar on it, because animals need, like, sugary stuff and water, okay?
It's not an animal, though, is it, really?
It's an insect, isn't it? Is it a bee, an insect?
I think it is an insect.
Or an arachnamara, or something?
It's not one of those.
Isn't it? You know, like
certainly not an arachnid.
Yeah,
unless it have 8 legs.
No, doors didn't have 8 legs, you fool. But anyway, the point is, I pushed that just underneath the front of its body, and it stirred a bit, so I could see it was still alive. And I thought, I've got to do something for this bee.
Yeah.
So I left it for about 5 minutes, and I think it must have been dehydrated, because it started, sort of working on the damp bit of kitchen roll.
Sucking it up.
Yeah. It has a probus or something, doesn't it, or something like that, which it uses to feed, or something like that. Yeah. So anyway...
I don't think that's what it's called, but I know what you mean.
I then get 2 pieces of delicate paper, lift it under the bee after I'd opened the back door, and I take it out... And it's very...
onto the roof garden?
Onto the roof garden, right. Yeah. And it's...
dangerous out there, isn't it?
Yeah, why?
Well, it's all like a building site,
Yeah, it's been done, don't worry, it's been done soon.
Oh, is it been... No, but it's still not been fixed, though.
No. But anyway, I put it in... I put it in a plant pot, right?
Yeah.
That had daffodils in it.
Right.
Because I thought, well, the daffodils might have shred some pollen, and bees live on pollen, don't they? Gathering pollen.
Yeah.
And honey.
Yeah. Well, no, they make honey.
Yeah, they make honey, that's right, by gathering pollen.
Yeah.
So I thought that, and this, believe me, this bee was very dead, very near dead.
Well, it wasn't dead, was it?
It was either
dead or not dead.
I spent 10 or 15 minutes trying to revive it.
Yeah.
It looked dead. I mean, it didn't look as though it had any hope whatsoever. It really didn't.
Yeah.
So anyway, I left it for 15 minutes, and then I went out again, and it was still very, very dead-ish,
Dead-ish?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Well, it's either dead or not dead,
So then...
How can it be not dead?
So then, I got a load of stuff from the middle of a daffodil, okay? And I sort of, mashed it all up with my fingers, and I sprinkled it around the bee, okay?
Yeah.
You will not believe what happened next. 10 minutes later...
It stung you?
No. 10 minutes later, I'm at the window, and all of a sudden, like watching a phoenix rise from the ashes, I'm not joking, all of a sudden, the bee came to life... flapped its wings and literally flew up into the air. It flew in front of the window where I was, I think, to sort of thank me, you know what I mean? And that...
You started talking to bees now.
I'm buzzed round a bit, and then literally it buzzed off over the fence and went, and I'm sure it was a queen bee. It's a massive bee, honestly. And I honestly thought to myself, this is something from the Almighty. No, it's Easter Monday, it's Resurrection Day.
Yeah.
I found a near enough...
You think you've got sort of healing powers now,
I'm telling you, it was a miracle. What I witnessed was an absolute miracle.
I see bees doing that all the time.
No, you're not like this. This bee was dead.
You know what they just know? No, it wasn't dead, it was resting.
No, it wasn't.
It was resting.
Well, how come when I was poking it and trying to get some movement out of it, well, it was in my kitchen.
What were you poking it with?
Just bits of kitchen roll, that's all. I wasn't hurting it. And it just simply didn't move.
Right, it was playing possum, probably.
No, it wasn't, honestly. And then I gave it water and sugar. I gave it some daffodil nectar, and the bee was away. And you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if tomorrow an army of bees suddenly come and buzz around my window to thank me for saving their queen bee.
It'd be pretty funny if an army of bees, or swarm, as we call it, actually fly in and sting you to death.
Well, they won't, will they? Because the window's closed and all that kind of stuff. But I sincerely believe, a bit like sort of...
Maybe they'll do that thing that they did in the Flash Gordon movie. Do you remember when the Hawkmen flew up into the sky? And
did they?
And they formed a load of letters and saying, thanks, Flash.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Maybe they'll do thanks, Porky, in the sky for
but
you.
I mean, like Tarzan became the great mate of the apes because he was raised by them.
Yeah.
I could become the great mate of the bees.
Yeah, you could
because I've saved one. No, seriously, I mean, I know this, this sounds a bit overdramatic and all that kind of stuff, but I'm absolutely convinced that I saved that bee's life, and therefore I say to myself, you're put on this earth to help God's creatures, great and small, and I have done.
Perhaps we should have a chorus of Let It Be coming up next. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. It's Resurrection Monday, except it's Tuesday. isn't it?
Why?
The bee, king of the bees.
Well, yeah, except that's Paul McCartney singing "Let It Be" with a B-E. There's not two E's on the end of
well,
that.
Yeah, I know, but there's a sort of alliteration there.
But I see what you mean. But I really felt very emotional about when I saw that bee rise up and its wings were flapping and it literally went over my fence. It sort of ducked around a bit, flew around a bit in front of the window, and then said cheerio, and then it was away.
Yeah, but I've watched countless bees doing that in my garden. You know, they land on the grass, they sit there, and they seem as if they've completely. Sometimes they've taken too much pollen on, and they're literally drunk on the pollen, and they have to lie down and rest for a while.
Yeah.
Or they're simply knackered from doing all the work that they've been doing, and then they just rest for a period of time, and then they take off. If you hadn't touched that bee, it would have flown out the window anyway.
But that was in the morning. It had been there all night resting.
Yeah.
The bee was virtually dead. I'm telling you, it was amazing. Let It Be that you've just played by Paul McCartney. He wrote that, and his thinking behind it was that his mother had dreamt that his mother had spoken to him in the night, and she'd made the plea to all the four Beatles, let it be, i.e., what are you all trying to sue each other for over contracts and break up the Beatles? Just let it be.
Well, listen,
that was his plea.
The best thing about you talking about the Beatles is that you didn't mention John Lennon, because people have been tweeting all weekend saying, what can we do to stop him mentioning John Lennon?
I won't mention it.
One person said every time you mention John Lennon this week, you should have to make a donation to charity.
Okay, I won't mention it. I will say about Yoko Ono, because I didn't get it over with Cynthia last week, that far from breaking up the Beatles, Yoko Ono kept them together. She actually said, her husband-to-be wanted to get out of the Beatles a long time before he eventually did, because he wanted to go in a different musical direction to Paul McCartney. Yeah. And she said, no, don't. She said, stay with it. It's the greatest group in the world. So anyway, I thought I'd let you know.
Well, that's good. Well, anyway, that's the rule on Mr. Lennon this week. Now, before we go any further, I've got to ask you about Malky Mackay, because you remember when Dave Whelan hired Malky Mackay? We spent quite a lot of time talking about Dave Whelan. Yes. He put himself in hot water by saying some rather ridiculously stupid things. It was a bad idea from beginning to end.
Disgrace.
And now it's all gone horribly wrong. And, what I was amazed at was how bad of a result under Malky Mackay. 19 points out of 72.
Do you see, they didn't win one single game at home under Malky Mackay. Yeah. Not one single game.
So does this mean finally that his kind of aura as a great manager that should have been in
what aura?
Back in what aura? When he left his job at Cardiff, do you remember that there was all sorts of people saying what a disgrace? They were blaming Vincent Tan. Yes. They were saying that this is a great manager. He's done all sorts of terrific things. Yeah. A lot of them within the football business.
I think it's a good question because the thing is, if he ever had a reputation as a manager, it's now disappeared. If he ever had a reputation as a man, it's already disappeared because the allegations made against him. Yeah. The thing is, that inquiry is not. Why?
The bee, king of the bees.
Well, yeah, except that's Paul McCartney singing "Let It Be" with a B-E. There's not two E's on the end of that.
Yeah, I know, but there's a sort of alliteration there.
But I see what you mean. But I really felt very emotional about when I saw that bee rise up and its wings were flapping and it literally went over my fence. It sort of ducked around a bit, flew around a bit in front of the window, and then said cheerio, and then it was away.
Yeah, but I've watched countless bees doing that in my garden. You know, they land on the grass, they sit there, and they seem as if they've completely. Sometimes they've taken too much pollen on, and they're literally drunk on the pollen, and they have to lie down and rest for a while. Yeah. Or they're simply knackered from doing all the work that they've been doing, and then they just rest for a period of time, and then they take off. If you hadn't touched that bee, it would have flown out the window anyway.
But that was in the morning. It had been there all night resting. Yeah. The bee was virtually dead. I'm telling you, it was amazing. Let It Be that you've just played by Paul McCartney. He wrote that, and his thinking behind it was that his mother had dreamt that his mother had spoken to him in the night, and she'd made the plea to all the four Beatles, let it be, i.e., what are you all trying to sue each other for over contracts and break up the Beatles? Just let it be.
Well, listen,
that was his plea.
The best thing about you talking about the Beatles is that you didn't mention John Lennon, because people have been tweeting all weekend saying, what can we do to stop him mentioning John Lennon?
I won't mention it.
One person said every time you mention John Lennon this week, you should have to make a donation to charity.
Okay, I won't mention it. I will say about Yoko Ono, because I didn't get it over with Cynthia last week, that far from breaking up the Beatles, Yoko Ono kept them together. She actually said, her husband-to-be wanted to get out of the Beatles a long time before he eventually did, because he wanted to go in a different musical direction to Paul McCartney. Yeah. And she said, no, don't. don't. She said, stay with it. It's the greatest group in the world. So anyway, I thought I'd let you know.
Well, that's good. Well, anyway, that's the rule on Mr. Lennon this week. Now, before we go any further, I've got to ask you about Malky Mackay, because you remember when Dave Whelan hired Malky Mackay? We spent quite a lot of time talking about Dave Whelan.
Yes.
He put himself in hot water by saying some rather ridiculously stupid things. It was a bad idea from beginning to end.
Disgrace.
And now it's all gone horribly wrong. And, I mean, what I was amazed at was how bad of a result under Malky Mackay. 19 points out of 72.
Do you see, they didn't win one single game at home under Malky Mackay. Yeah. Not one single game at home. So does this mean, finally, that his kind of aura as a great manager that should have been in what aura?
Back in... Well,
what aura?
When he left his job at Cardiff, do you remember that there was all sorts of people saying, what a disgrace, they were blaming Vincent Tan.
Yes.
They were saying that, this is a great manager, he's done all sorts of terrific things. Yeah. A lot of them within the football business.
I think it's a good question, because the thing is, if he ever had a reputation as a manager, it's now disappeared. If he ever had a reputation as a man, it's already disappeared because the allegations made against him. Yeah. The thing is, that inquiry has not even yet been completed by the FA.
Has it not?
No. The inquiry into the harsh word.
What is going on?
Exactly. It's never been published. And so 5 games from the end of the season, he's been fired. Now, who would have fired him? Yeah. Well, it must be the grandson of Mr. Whelan.
Yeah, the guy who used to run the fish and chip shop.
That's right. The fish and chip stall. Not in a shop, stall outside. Yeah. He's gone and sacked him. I think it's a terribly, terribly sad end. I'm glad Roberto Martinez is out of there, because it's become a murky old pond as Wigan Football Club, especially if they go down again, which seems...
Well, it looks like they will, doesn't
it? They will now. But as for Mr. Mackay, I mean, he should never have been re-employed in the first place before the outcome of the inquiry, which inquisitors have been sitting on their hands on, and it'll just go on and on.
The FA really needs to put its finger out on these things.
Well, they appoint independent investigators and that kind of stuff. But it is honestly a shocking mess, and he should never have been allowed back into football while those allegations were hanging over him.
I know, shocking. Now, here's another interesting thing I spotted over the weekend.
Oh, you did you?
Yes, I did.
You've been on the ball over the weekend.
Yeah, well,
you?
Very little passes me by.
Yes.
I don't know whether you saw this quiz. It was online, actually, in one of the newspapers. Are you a genius? Find out with a few of the most fiendish brain teasers ever.
I saw
Fantastic quiz. I was thinking about maybe turning it into a quiz for you at the end of the week.
Well, I thought you might, so I'd looked at a few of the answers, and I have to say, I didn't find it easy.
No.
But you see, that's because they were such bizarre questions. They weren't general knowledge questions; they were all specialist questions.
Well, no, they're questions designed to test your IQ, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And how many did you?
Well,
get
I didn't
right?
actually go all the way through it. What I did was I downloaded it and I thought, well, maybe I'll use this later on. But I wanted to get your agreement on it first. But if you're not keen, we'll have to come up with a different subject.
What, you want to test me on a few of them?
Well, not now. Well, I could do it now if you want.
I don't want you to do it now.
I was thinking about the Porky quiz on Thursday night.
Yes, but as I've seen the quiz already, I know the questions.
Now it's probably not worth doing,
so I could now go and look up a less noble man than me would go up and try and find some of the answers. You know what I mean?
Therefore we can't do it that way then.
I do think we should.
Well, then let's think of a suitable subject for the quiz then, and we'll come up with it over the next couple of days.
I thought of a suitable subject for the quiz.
Did you?
Actually, and it's now escaped me.
Right.
But it was a challenging one.
Well, maybe it will come back to you.
It will come back to me. Don't worry, it'll come back to me. Now, I want to talk to you, please, about Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And the reason I want to talk to you about this is not because I've ever watched it, and I don't want to watch it.
No, you think you should watch it and put it on Porky Vision one?
No.
I mean, you have a duty of care to the millions of people listening.
I'll cover it in Porky Vision, and I'll tell everybody it's rubbish. Utter rubbish, right? But I haven't watched it. I don't intend to watch it under any circumstances. I've seen too many of the clips. Dinosaurs flying around, biting people, eating them up, all this kind of stuff.
What do you mean, dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Sure they're not dragons?
Dragons. They look like dinosaurs. According to one of our producers here, one of our technical experts.
Yeah. You mean the executive producer?
It's worth, the executive producer. It's worth watching. There's lots of naked women in it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't watch programmes just because there's naked women running around.
That's the kind of guy he is, though.
Yeah, well,
wait till I tell you what it's up to the weekend.
It says more about him than it does about me. But the point I'm making is that I get a regular Sunday newspaper which has a colour supplement, okay? And I expect in that the regular features, interesting interviews with interesting people.
Yes.
It does, in fact, include Piers Morgan's column every week, which I find thoroughly readable, because Piers talking about all the famous people he meets in Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. However, this week, 14 pages of your essential companion guide to the Game of Thrones. I don't think that many people care about it, frankly.
I just don't think that many people care. A very large number of people. It's very popular.
Well, so is Coronation Street, but I don't need a 14-page guide to that every week,
do I?
You
might not, but some people would probably, perhaps who haven't seen it, would. I mean, did you not see that when they unveiled the new season of Game of Thrones, they had this massive party, premiere night at the Tower of London, where they took over the entire Tower of London. It was like a red carpet event. It was incredible.
But, I mean, what they've done is, here, I've got a map of, it's incredible. What year was this all made in? What year was it? What's it year supposed to be based in?
Well, it's a fantasy, isn't it?
Yeah, but what year is it?
It's meant to be a long time ago, but not in a galaxy far away.
Right, a long time ago. But amongst these 14 pages, they've got a completely new map of Britain with areas like the Wall, Winterfell, the Twins, the Eyrie, Castley Rock, Highgarden, Storm's End. I mean, it's a whole new kingdom.
Well, it's all filmed in Northern Ireland, so it brings a load of money into the country as well.
Is that right?
Yeah.
All these flying dragons all over the place. You're quite right, they are dragons, although they look a bit like dinosaurs. And then the mother of the dragons, Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, and her name, Daenerys Targaryen. I mean, have they got their own language or something as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a whole series of books, right, that were written. It's a bit like if you took the Star Wars, books and turned them into movies and they became terribly successful. This is another kind of series of books that have been turned into, a very, very popular television series.
And by the way...
Maybe what you should do, right, is read all that, have a look at one of the episodes, and then do it in Porky Vision.
No, I couldn't be bothered. I wouldn't insult the intelligence of our listeners. Now, when you look at how many people are in this Game of Thrones, they say, the whole cast here. I mean, there's hundreds. There's literally hundreds. There's the House of Greyjoy. There's the Free Folk, the House of Tyrrell, the House of Lannister, the House of Baratheon. I mean, the House of Frey, the House of Tully. What is all this about?
How about the House of Fraser? Is that in there?
No,
as well?
Of course it's not, you idiot. That's the most obvious house of all, isn't it? But I mean,
House of Cards. You haven't seen that yet either.
What?
House of Cards.
I'm getting around to it. To me, and then The Dark Knight Rises, and then a recap on Series 3, Series 4. What's this, Series 5?
I guess so. To be honest, I haven't really seen it either.
No, I couldn't be bothered. I mean, it looks so spectacularly silly and mystical and mythical and repulsively, frightening about...
It might give you nightmares.
Well, it might do, but anyway, look, all I'm saying is I don't think any one programme should be thrown in your face quite as heavily and with as much gusto as this,
presumably,
by taking over 14 pages of my weekly colour magazine.
Money might have changed hands for them to do that as well.
No, I doubt it very much indeed. This is all editorial. It doesn't say anything like, advertising feature or anything like that. The people who've edited this magazine clearly think it is so interesting they're going to give 14 pages over to it. When's it on anyway?
I don't know.
Let me have a look here.
Presumably in the 14 pages it'll tell you.
Yeah, well, it should do.
Are you telling me there's no advert in there for Game of Thrones?
No, there's no advert.
In the 14 pages?
No, it's all editorial. It is, honestly. I've looked through all that.
Well, I bet you any money that the way things go in the newspaper...
What day of the week is it on? Sunday, is it?
I don't know.
Well, it doesn't say...
You're the TV reviewer.
Listen, man, I know everything about everything worth knowing about. This is not worth knowing about.
I mean, because it's on Sky, it's probably on several times, I would imagine. You can probably watch it loads of different times.
That's interesting as well, because this magazine that's published this 14-page review is not published by the same company that owns Sky, which is News International, which is the Sun on Sunday and the Sunday Times.
Yeah, but that's why I think money will have changed hands, because although, because to put advertising feature on something usually means nobody reads it, right? So if indeed...
Yeah, but I think you have to if you pay for it. You have to.
But I think there are ways and means of getting around these things.
It's got its own language. It says here, my Yeri Chusun. And then it says, this means your mother was a hamster. What does that mean?
Hey?
I don't know.
Your mother was a hamster?
Yeah.
Sounds like one of those Monty Python insults.
It does. Dothrakis, they must be some race within Game of Thrones. Dothrakis have their own unique language, but who'd have guessed it's full of classic Monty Python jokes? See, this is all very confusing. I don't understand.
I think you need to see it, obviously, otherwise, you won't know what's going on. Now, let me read you a few tweets out here.
Since the first series, just very quickly, 50 babies in the UK have been named Khaleesi. That's the Queen woman in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, well, there you go.
It's all mad.
There you go. Listen to this. Sean says, pints of pollen tend to do that to you. Asher says, ask Mr. Parry if the bee was suffering from diabetes. Just needed a prod and a bit of sugar to gain consciousness. Biblical. Here's one from, what do you call it? Here we are. Where is it? I lost a... How are you talking about hamsters? Neil says, I lost a hamster here in Singapore a few years ago. Can Mike Parry work his magic and resurrect him?
What, you mean lost him, he died?
Well, I presume he means that,
Or lost him because he ran off in the apartment and he's now running around Hong Kong somewhere.
Well, he got from Singapore to Hong Kong.
Yeah, right,
he jumped on a plane.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
The bee was having a kip, says Sean. Squire Gregory says free honey for life. And Matt says, so not only is Porky a petty criminal and a man of the people, he's also now a bee whisperer. Will wonders never cease?
Yeah, well, I am actually. That's right. That's
Incredible.
right.
We are the two Mikes. He's Mike Parry. I'm Mike Graham. There will be a podcast coming out, of course, a little bit later.
The play, because I'm going to talk about Groundhog Day,
oh, eh?
would be Cher, wouldn't it?
Why?
You know, the one that wakes him up every morning.
Hey?
I got you, babe. isn't it?
Oh, I Got You, Babe.
Yeah.
That was a song I played at my wedding.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Good God, amazing. Wasn't that the song? You know, when the number flips
It was
over?
Sonny and Cher.
On his bedside...
I never saw a video of it.
Of what?
Of that song.
No, what I'm saying is in Groundhog Day...
Oh, you mean in the movie?
In the movie.
Oh, I don't know.
When he wakes up...
I've seen it once or twice, but I can't remember it
I've seen it a million times. When he wakes up every morning, you know... Now take your hand, put it in mine. Da, 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 da. That's the song that wakes him up every morning.
But you know what? We didn't use that one as the wedding song. We used the remake of it, which was by Chrissy Hind and the guy from UB40.
I Get You, Babe.
Yeah. Great song.
I got you,
yeah,
babe.
There's no need to sing it.
Anyway, listen, I'll tell you I'm talking about Groundhog Day.
By the way, look at this. What about this for a shirt for you?
Oh, okay.
Our friends at Buy Sports Kit.
Hey, I love it. Fantastic.
Our friends at Buy Sports Kit up in Hull are going to send you one.
Are they really?
But it's one of those. But it's one of those.
Can I have a double X, please?
Well, it's one of those very tight-fitting shirts, you know.
Sure, tight-fitting shirt. That's very, very nice.
The other thing you could wear, of course, the Brentford shirt, the Bees.
What is that shirt there that you've just shown me?
Well, it's a yellow and black striped or hooped shirt.
I know, but is it a sports shirt? Is it a leisure shirt?
It's like a football shirt. They make sports kit.
And who's this again?
It's our friends in Hull.
Oh, right.
You know, James and the guys.
James and the guys. Thank you very much indeed. That's very, very kind of you. I do believe that I did mastermind the resurrection of a bee. And as far as I'm concerned, a bee is important as a human being on this planet because we're all God's creatures.
Yeah, so now you want to talk about some other creatures, right?
Now, Groundhog Day. This, do you know what? I saw it again today, not all of it. I saw about 10 or 15 minutes of it. It was on day. I always love to watch the start. Bill Murray.
You know how it ends, so there's no point in watching it, is there?
No, of course, you're absolutely right.
Do you know what I watched, which I hadn't seen for a while, even though I've got it on DVD, but last night, Deer Hunter was on.
Ah, no, I saw that was in the listings last night.
And, you know, to be honest, I tweeted out, I said, possibly the greatest film ever made, and I think it might be.
It's a terrific film.
Yeah, it always makes me weep as well at the end.
The bit that makes me weep is when they're in that cage, which is full of water, and they're hanging onto the
rats
bamboo.
and everything, yeah.
Oh, dear me.
Incredible.
Can't stand it. Can't bear it.
Now!
Yeah, but I do love the Russian roulette game, don't you?
Well, that's what the Mao thing is.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Incredible. I'd be good at Russian roulette.
You'd be good at it?
Yeah, I would.
Maybe that should be the next video we put on 2 Bites TV. The game of Russian roulette.
Well, any idiot can work out Russian roulette easily enough.
How can you work it out then?
The weight of the gun.
The weight of the gun?
Yeah.
Have you ever held a gun?
Yeah.
When?
When I took a picture of a female American cop to go with some story in America.
She gave you her gun?
She had it in a holster, so I can have a look at it. I'd never seen a gun before,
right.
She did, yeah.
Well, how heavy did you think it was?
Well, pretty heavy.
Yeah, very heavy, right?
Pretty heavy, yeah.
You put a bullet in it, and you put two bullets in it, the weight doesn't change.
It does. You see, this is what I'm saying. If you were bright enough like me, you'd be able to work out where exactly the bullet was in the chamber. And if the bullet was in the bottom of the chamber, the gun would be heavier.
Rubbish.
It would.
Absolute
rubbish.
It would.
No, it's a fact. It's a fact of life, right? And then you'd be able to tell whether or not, it should be your turn or
but
or
if
the
there's
other
a guy
turn.
pointing a gun at you and saying you've got to fire it anyway, and you know that then there's a bullet in the chamber, what are you going to do then?
Well, I wouldn't fire it.
Well, then he'd kill you.
Because I know I'd blow my head off.
Well, then he'd kill you.
No, you wouldn't. You'd do what you did in the Deer Hunter, turn it on him and kill him.
All right, okay.
Why not?
Well, because he only had one in the chamber. You had to have 3 in the chamber for that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
3.
What I'm saying is, if you knew there was a bullet in the chamber and it was and that was your last chance, bang, blow him away. That's what I say.
Really?
Right.
Okay.
Now then, what I was going to say is, I found the absolutely fatal flaw in the plot of Groundhog Day.
Oh, yeah.
Which nobody, to this day... How many years ago was that made? 30 years ago?
It must have been in the 80s sometimes.
30, 35 years ago. Nobody spotted except me. Now, you've
been watching it often enough. It's about time you spotted something.
Exactly. Now, you say you've only seen it once or twice, but what he does is, because he knows that tomorrow will be the same as today, he tries to gain information from today to impress people tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, for instance, a very good-looking... He uses it all to attract women.
Yeah.
So, a very good-looking woman in the...
That's the kind of thing you would use if you went to the future, isn't it?
I would, definitely,
in order to impress women.
I would, definitely, yeah.
Like the woman across the hall.
Yes, that's right, yeah, definitely. So, he says to a woman he passes in the restaurant, your name is, and what's the name of your teacher in 12th grade, your English teacher? Oh, thanks very much. So the next day, when he goes and sees her, he can actually go up to her and say, I know exactly who you are, I remember you, and that's very impressive.
Yeah.
Amy, what's her name? The lead actress, what's her name?
I don't know.
Yes, you do, because she was in 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Amy?
Yeah, what's her name? She was the lead actress in Groundhog Day.
Do you mean Andy McDowell?
Andy McDowell, that's the one I'm talking about,
Amy
right?
McDowell.
Yeah. They go into a bar, and he fancies her like mad. They go into a bar.
Can't say I blame him.
And he says, what do you want to drink? And she says, a Drambuie.
Yeah.
And he says, OK, I'll have a whiskey. The following day, he goes in a bar and he says, you look like a Drambuie girl to me. Give this girl a Drambuie. She says, oh, it's my favourite drink.
Yeah.
Now then, if you had that power, what information would you acquire from the day before for today to actually make yourself a huge fortune?
Well, you would do what they did in Back to the Future. You would get the almanac of sports results and bring it back with you.
The racing results.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
if you were that way inclined, which of course
you
I'm
should
not.
be. You should be. That's the only reason for doing it. So what I'm saying is,
maybe they thought that would be too stupid because it would be nicked from Back to the Future, which was made earlier. Apparently, it was made in '93. This movie. I thought it was older than that.
What, Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
I thought it was made way before that.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah. Oh well, we'll have to double check that.
Yeah.
But well, no. But I mean, that's the most obvious thing.
Yeah, but that's
isn't
what
it?
they did in Back to the Future. So they would
I
say.
didn't realise that. Didn't realise that. So, but that's the only reason to go back into the past.
Well, that's the only reason for you.
And bring Back to the Future. No,
That's
it's
the only
not.
reason for you, because
No, it's
money
not.
is your god.
Because all you do is you just get the day's horse racing results, go into off-track betting,
Yeah.
OTB, and
Yeah.
there must be one in every town in America,
Yeah.
and you just lay out
I
all...
think it's only in New York, isn't it, OTB?
OTB?
Yeah.
Well, what do they bet on in Pennsylvania?
Well, they're
then?
not allowed to. I think they have a special licence to have them in New York City.
I don't
because
think...
it was owned by the state or something.
Well, you must be able to bet somewhere in
no,
Pennsylvania.
betting's illegal in most states in America.
Philadelphia.
No, betting's illegal in most states in America. You can't bet anyway.
It does have a problem. Yeah, well, in that case, well, there wasn't the internet around in those days, probably. But in that place, get a flight to somewhere else, like Atlantic City,
Yeah.
where you can bet
Yeah.
and things like, which is not very far away from Pennsylvania,
No,
is
in
it?
fact, you wouldn't even. You could probably drive there.
Yeah, probably drive there. Exactly.
It's just over the border, isn't it?
Exactly. It's exactly what I'm saying, you see. So, smart than the average bear. That's what I thought.
So what you're saying, you want to turn a quite artistic piece of film work into just another grubby kind of, cash-grabbing exercise.
No, because it actually did go on a bit too long, the
Yeah.
whole film, didn't it? You
Yeah.
know, he tried to kill himself and he still woke up the next day. He tried to drive the car off the edge of a cliff and he still woke up the next day. And in the end... Oh, talking about waking up, by the way. Talking about waking up. Do you know that... Because you and I, we have some strange sleeping hours and all that kind of stuff, don't we?
Very true.
And you have to get up. Now, the problem is, with a conventional alarm clock or radio
Have you got an alarm clock?
No, I don't need one.
I mean, you don't have like an old-fashioned alarm, but one of those travelling alarm clocks.
No, I don't need one. I've told you. If I knock my head on the pillow,
knock it
10 times,
What?
I get up at 10 o'clock.
You knock you knock the pillow.
No, I
with your
bash
head.
my head on the pillow the
Do you?
number of
Well, that
times of the
explains a
hour I
lot.
want to get up. No, it doesn't, because the pillow's quite soft. I can say to myself...
Does that work on a 24-hour clock, or is it just a 12-hour clock?
No, it works on a...
So, like, if you have to wake up at 11 o'clock to come in here,
Yes.
you'd probably be unconscious, wouldn't you? Have to bang your head 23 times.
No, not at all. You're being stupid again. You're being stupid, you see, because you can't appreciate these things.
Yeah.
I very rarely sleep in the evenings anyway before I come in here.
You don't sleep much anyway.
No, I
though.
don't sleep much
I mean,
anyway.
I think you sleep even less now.
Yeah.
When you used to work out early on the breakfast show, right, you probably used to have only a few hours sleep overnight.
Yeah.
Now I think you only have a few hours sleep during the day.
No, I do. I don't need sleep. But the point is, I can look at a clock, right, and I say, right, I'm just going to lie down now, and in 2 hours I will wake up. And you know what? In 2 hours I wake up, seriously. And I don't need a clock. I've never had an alarm clock. I don't need one to get up. I know exactly when I want to get up. But what I was going to say to you was, I've read about a new method of getting you up, because they believe, researchers and people who know these things, that over the years, quite a lot of people have died of heart attacks from being woken very suddenly.
Abruptly, yeah.
Abruptly, that's the word I'm looking for, by a loud alarm clock or a radio alarm springing on.
Right.
You know, people he died in his sleep. Some of them haven't died in the sleep. Some of them have died from the shock of, 1 minute being in a deep sleep and the next minute,
Yeah.
like that. So this new system's been invented, which gradually just opens the light up in your room between darkness and daylight, and that sort of replicates the ancient caveman experience of waking up when the light came in the cave. You see what I mean?
Some people actually think that you can replicate that by sound as well. Like if you're on the iPad, for example, you can create a way of waking yourself up, like with chimes or with a sort of a crescendo type piece of
Sounds
music.
like a good idea.
Which starts very, very low and then kind of gets louder.
Sounds
and
like a
louder
good
and louder.
idea.
It is a good idea because it wakes you sort of
naturally.
slowly.
But it's got even better, because if there's two of you asleep, because this is the problem, you might be an early starter and your wife or your partner needs to get up 2 or 3 hours later, you can now wear a, like a button or something like that.
Yeah.
And it only applies to you. It doesn't apply to your partner.
What do you mean, a button?
Well, you wear a sort of button, like on
What
your...
sort of button?
Well, you stick it on your face or
What,
something.
you mean a button
know what
that
I
you
mean?
press? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean.
Well, like
A sticker, do you mean?
a sticker, like
It's
a
not
sticker.
a button at all.
Well, it looks like
a
a
button is something you press on and off.
No, it looks like the sort of button that you put on a cardigan.
Oh,
you know
I
what I
see.
mean?
A cardigan?
Yeah, that sort of thing. But it's not a
I haven't got
cardigan.
a
Don't be silly.
cardigan.
And you put it on the side of your face or something like that. And then this device behind the headboard.
Yeah.
Attacks only the one that's programmed for that time,
Oh, yeah.
and then attacks the other one 2 hours later. You see what I mean?
I don't think attacks the right thing.
No. Well, signals to them, and it sends vibes down into your lug hole and wakens you up because your ears lead to your brain.
Blimey.
And that's what happens. Honestly,
It all sounds very complicated. Maybe just get an alarm clock. I think life would be a lot simpler.
No, because you could die. This is what I'm saying. You die if you get woken up too suddenly.
Right, I'm
You
going
do.
to tell you
It's
about.
called sunrise alarm
I'm
waking.
going to tell you about somebody who died suddenly coming up next, right here on Talk Sport with the two mics.
What are you laughing at?
Because they kept putting the mic up and putting it back down again.
Yeah, why?
Well, because I made a quip that the executive producer didn't like.
Okay, what was the quip?
I'm not telling you now.
You're not going to share it with anyone?
No, it was just that I was making fun of him and so he was trying to punish me by not putting the light on.
Oh, I see.
You know how petty they can be. Now, let me ask you now.
People who
That's
switch microphones on and off, right
I know.
down, right
it's
down
a terrible
the list
thing.
of.
I think I'm going to sulk for a couple of weeks
of my
now.
people.
I know,
who,
it's shocking, absolutely awful.
Now, who get it when
but
I
you will
die.
remember, of course, that's the Black Beauty theme, right? And
is
this
it?
week,
Right,
not
okay.
only does the Masters start, but
right.
the Grand National is coming up as well, isn't it?
I tell you what, an exciting day Saturday's going to be. Everton are playing Swansea at 12:45 on the Gogglebox.
Yeah, is this on Saturday?
On Saturday.
Yeah.
So we're watching that, right? Probably get a bit of a family party together. We
Yeah.
always do when there's a
Will that be
an
in
Everton game.
Surrey, probably, or down on the coast?
Some of them might come down on the coast. or
Speaking
something
of
like that.
the coast,
Yeah.
we should say that Portsmouth tickets are now available because
They are.
on Friday afternoon. That was when we kind of found out that everything was on the go, wasn't
Absolutely,
it?
we certainly did.
We've got 2 shows coming up, which we should mention.
Indeed.
One at the St James's Theatre in London on
Yes.
June the 7th, and another at the Portsmouth Guildhall, which is a fantastically historic
It certainly
venue,
is.
right?
Fantastic.
Which you managed to work out for us, so I should issue a vote of thanks to you for that. But that's on May the 30th on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
So both tickets are available for both of those venues, and we'll be tweeting them out throughout the course of the next couple of weeks. Really.
We definitely will. And to find the details, all you need to do really is tune in to Mike Parry 8, which is my Twitter account, and
You don't really tune into Twitter, though, do you?
No, and at IROMG,
Yeah.
Independent Republic of Mike Graham.
And at the 2 mics as well.
And at the 2 mics, and all the details are there. But we're very
excited.
thrilled. We weren't able to tell you about it last week, but both the ticket boxes are now open for that. And I have to say, without blowing our own trumpet, the tickets for the London venue are already moving rapidly, and we're very pleased with it. That's June the 7th,
and we do
Sunday
keep
night.
getting requests for appearances in the north of England. We are trying to work those out, but it's proving more difficult than we thought. But we will definitely have some news on that in the next couple of weeks.
I
hopefully.
hope I'm not, uttering a falsehood here, but I can promise you we'll be in the north of England in July.
Yeah.
Or late June or July. But we will. We're working on it, believe me.
All right. Anyway, tell us about, the Grand National Saturday, because you were halfway through that.
Yeah, this is great, you see. So all the family around. Now, my method last year brought me in hundreds of pounds.
I remember that, yeah.
Over 700.
Really?
Now, all I do is, because I love the colour blue, and that's the only colour I have in my life, really.
Yeah.
Both my apartments are sort of decorated in various shades of blue.
Yeah.
Bit of yellow here and there, bit of silver and black. But basically, for
Most
instance...
of your shirts are blue in one way or another.
Yeah, they are.
You're wearing a blue
yeah.
and white striped one
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah, exactly. There's no red in my life. I'm not being
Although you were
dismissive.
wearing those purple trousers in Birmingham.
No, I wasn't.
They were purple.
They weren't. They were black, you fool. But under the strobe light, they turned like a funny shade. That was all. Now, what I'm saying is...
After the game.
Yeah, after the game, watch the Grand National. Now, what I did last year was there were 11 horses which ran with the jockeys wearing blue livery.
Right.
And I bet £10 each way on every one.
Does it have to be just any colour blue or just dark blue or what?
Well, it's got to be a similar sort of blue to Everton.
Right, so you wouldn't do sky blue?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do Manchester City blue.
Because there's usually a sky blue and white stripe,
there is,
isn't
yeah. I wouldn't do a Manchester City blue, no. It's got to be royalish blue, okay? And a blue and yellow counts, because Everton's second kit used to be blue and yellow, so that's all right. And last year...
have they played in white this season as well?
They've played in black and white.
Black and white. In Europe, I think they played in black or something,
in black. They played all black in Europe as well, yeah. But anyway, the point of my story is that last year I got the winner, plus 2 other horses in the top 4, and I banked over £700.
Very good.
So it's a method where you see, obviously you're going to have losers because only 4 horses can win, or actually...
Well, only one horse can win, actually.
Yes, but I mean in terms of getting into the winning
the each-way bet.
Each-way bet, that's right.
And do you pick any horses to win, or do you just do them all each way?
No, I did them all each way, because you are by betting on a horse each way, you are betting for it to win anyway.
Yeah, no, I know that. But what I'm saying is, do you always do each way?
Yeah, always. I don't. I know what you're saying. I don't say right, but I really think the one that's going to win is that one's £50 on the nose.
No, I'm just thinking because if it's lower odds, sometimes the each way it's not worth getting.
No,
you know?
Well, no, it's true, but that's a great thing about the Grand National. The odds don't go very low at all. I think the lowest odds on a horse in a national is about 10 to 1, isn't it?
Well, it depends.
8 to 1.
I mean,
like
isn't
that?
Apr7 McCoy going to be riding and Ruby Walsh?
Well, he's going to be riding Shut the Door, isn't he?
Yeah, and Ruby Walsh is going to, and everyone seems to think that's going to be the favourite. So that might be quite short odds, just because the number of people betting on it. Yeah, but
even that, I'm told, even that short odds, in a race of 40 horses, might be 7 to 1.
Yeah.
So even that's not bad, is it? For sort of each.
Funnily enough, it's the one the one sort of betting weekend where I get the kids involved and the family involved. And so we sit around in the morning, and my youngest son actually is very good at picking winners. He normally picks something that wins.
Right, that's good. Places, because obviously it's that sort of race ever since I was a kid, where you've actually the name of the horse.
Well, my dad always did that. My dad always went to the betting shop and put some bets on for us.
That's right, absolutely. The name of the horse, or you like the look of the horse, because it might be a silver or a grey or something like that, you know what I mean? And that's the way you do it. But it's so exciting, the Grand National, when they come to the final couple of fences, because then at the end, it's a dogleg which kicks left, isn't it?
Yeah.
And excuse me, they come racing over the line. But anyway, I expect my system to to bring fresh riches this weekend. And if so, then obviously, being the sort of chap I am, I will spread the good luck around those who I have faith in this world.
Well, you didn't last year.
Well, I might have done it last year in those who...
Well, you didn't spread it around in my direction.
In those in who I have faith.
Oh, you're saying you don't
that?
have any faith in me, then?
Oh, I'm not saying I don't have faith in you, but I think that, on that question, for the last few years, the jury's been out and they're still out as far as I'm concerned. Okay? Now, listen. Did you know, no. This is another discovery I made.
Hang on, before you do that, let me read you a few texts and tweets
that
I've got in. Here's one from Jim. Dear Mr. Parry, this is a very unusual message to get because it's actually complimentary to you.
Oh, yes.
Though you sometimes are a bit of a blithering what's-it, I must say that your story of the resuscitated bee was truly moving and inspiring. Bees do rest sometimes, but only briefly. Your bee was not resting, it was dying, and you did resurrect it. I salute you.
Thank you.
Jim's obviously a bit of a blithering
what's-it.
Thank you.
No, he's not. The bee had been there all night. It
rubbish.
wasn't just resting. It wasn't just resting, and the light had come in the morning, so that would have woken it up. The bee was struggling like mad, honestly.
Terry
giving
says,
it the sugar and the water.
Mike, the bee's somewhere now praying it doesn't have a Groundhog Day and wake up to find you prodding it again.
Well, it might be.
True.
Yeah, it might be. It might be having nightmares. If bees have nightmares, it would have a nightmare about how close it came to death.
And here's one from the Bedford Mackham, who says, why don't you do the quiz on bees, as Porky is the bee whisperer? And a couple of people have said that they're not happy with your description of Game of Thrones. One says, tell Porky I feel insulted that he doesn't think Game of Thrones is worthy of the listener's time. And another one says, I don't watch much TV, certainly no rubbish, but Game of Thrones is a must-watch, by far the greatest TV show ever.
Well, I just can't get that at all. It's so complicated, the bits I've seen, and so fantastica, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's the kind of style of these things.
I mean, I don't mean it's fantastic in the sense that I think, things like The Godfather was fantastic. Yeah. I'd say it's Fantasia gone mad.
It's fantasy.
I mean, I just can't get it.
If you watch Lord of the Rings, did you ever watch any Lord of the Rings movies?
No, I can't get that either.
And if you ever
Where's
watched,
Middle Earth? You know, if there's top Earth and bottom Earth, where's Middle Earth?
Well, that's where it all goes on, isn't it?
Well, that's what I mean. Where's
battle for Middle Earth.
And what year was that made in?
Well, it doesn't matter.
What
it's
year
a
was that
fantasy.
made in?
It's not a historic
And the
movie.
other one I've never been able to work out the year for was all those Mad Max films. So on the one hand, you've got them all galloping around on horses on the desert below. On the other hand, you've got them all flying around in
They're
aeroplanes.
remaking Mad Max, you know, aren't they?
Are they?
Yeah,
They're all flying around in aeroplanes. They've got some of the most sophisticated guns and weapons you've ever seen, and yet they're all running around in chariots.
Well, because,
it's all mad.
No, because the whole point is they've run out of petrol. That's the whole point, isn't it?
It's all crazy to me, and I can't stand these Fantasia things. I prefer it to be...
You prefer reality, real life?
Yes, I do. I prefer it to be straightforward, because that's what it's all about.
Like Top Gun?
That is what it's all about. By the way, I put out a text earlier, right, and it said, I hear a tweet, that's right, yeah. I hear the distinct sound of a black cab coming round the corner. Could it be, and they'll put in capital letters, taxi for Pellegrini?
Yes.
Now, I got a few of my followers who said, that was a bit obvious, Mike, you know, a bit sort of...
I thought I don't think that's bad.
A bit puerile, and I admit it was. I admit it was. It was the obvious, you know, taxi for Pellegrini. But as nobody else had done it, I thought I would do it just to illustrate that, you know, the emotion with which people are thinking is that after seeing the... I only did after I saw the Pellegrini interview after the game. I didn't do it at the final
whistle. He just doesn't look like he knows what he's doing, does he?
Well, he doesn't look like he cares. No. He doesn't look like he cares about what's happening. You know, we're not talking about losing titles. We're talking about winning or losing games.
That sounds more like Jose Mourinho.
Because we weren't good enough. No, it's not Jose Mourinho.
That's a good Jose.
No, it wasn't a good Jose.
No. Now, I promised you I'd tell you about somebody who died suddenly in their sleep. Now, you
I'm
may
very
not have heard
sorry
of this
to
guy.
hear that.
You may not have heard it. You ever heard of Dr. Frederick Brandt?
Frederick who?
Brandt, as in Billy Brandt.
Frederick Brandt?
Yeah.
Willy Brandt was the former leader of West Germany.
Yeah, he was the Chancellor, yeah.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah, well, this guy's not related to him. He was known as the Baron of Botox. Now, if I show you his picture...
Baron of Botox?
You'll be amazed. Now, this guy lived in Florida, right? And he was the guy that invented injecting people with Botox. His face was so thin. How old do you think he is? He was actually 65 when he died. He died in the last 24 hours.
So why have you asked me how old he is?
Well, how old do you think? Because I'm saying the people who are listening to this...
he looks about 42.
That's what I mean. So that the listeners can understand what he looks like. I'll tweet out this story, actually, in a little while. But basically, he experimented on himself with Botox for years and years and years.
Right.
And Madonna was one of his very famous customers. And basically,
she took loads of Botox, did she?
He's the guy that used to give all of the big Hollywood stars all their Botox treatment. And apparently, he was so upset by a movie sort of portrayal of her, a comedy series, in which he was kind of branded the Baron of Botox, and it was somebody called Kimmy Schmidt who was the main guy in it. That he just they're saying he may have died of a broken heart. Astonishing.
Died of a broken heart.
Yeah.
Can you libel somebody by saying they're putting Botox in their face? Because so many times I see in newspapers, you know, too much Botox and all that if they've got no wrinkles in their forehead.
I don't think so.
And is it regarded as being defamatory if you accuse somebody of putting Botox in their face or not?
I don't think so, no. No, because would
you ever try Botox?
No,
neither would I.
I wouldn't need it. I don't have any wrinkles.
I don't have any wrinkles either.
No, you don't.
And I don't know why you would want to unwrinkle your face, even if you did. I wouldn't mind having a wrinkly face.
Do you think one of the reasons we don't have wrinkles is because perhaps we have a reasonably full face?
Full faces, certainly. So what you're saying is there's plenty of bone for the skin to stretch over.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
We haven't got a small little mouse-like face.
No, I mean, we're not skinny, therefore the skin is not tight on your face, and that's generally when you get wrinkles.
No, it's not. You get wrinkles because you've got excess flab on your face, on your skull. That's obvious.
No, you don't. You get wrinkles if
The reason I don't have wrinkles is because every minute of every day I have an interest in my life, which means that my skin is alive and living organism, which organism even, which reflects what my brain is up to all the time. That's what your skin does.
What is your brain up to?
Well, my brain's up to, addressing the next problem, meeting the next challenge, assessing the next opportunity, the next forward pace in life, that sort of thing. And when you have a brain that's concerned with all those things, you don't get wrinkles because you're not worrying about everything. Because you're going forwards in life, not backwards. It is not a backward life.
It's not a backward life.
No.
I'm not quite sure what direction you're going in sometimes. But,
I'm absolutely certain which direction I'm going in.
You?
And
what direction are you going in?
You keep hanging on to my coattails, pal, and you'll be going in the same direction as well, OK?
I'll have to get on my knees to hang on to your coattails.
Oh,
It's a bit embarrassing. Now, coming up in the next hour, we've got winners and losers, of course, with Mr. Parry taking on Mr. Toby Gillies once again. And we've got lots more. Yeah.
Is that really what it is?
Well, that's what it is. That's what it is. Now, we've got much more to talk about.
What do they call that race when only one horse goes round?
A one-horse race?
No, it's called something else, like, what's it called? Oh, Toby's here, look, it's called something like a give-over, a pass-over, something like that. What is it?
I don't know.
Something like
a walkover?
Walkover, that's the one.
I thought that was when the other team didn't turn up.
No, well, same thing.
You never know. One day he will win.
Up, does he, eh?
One day he will win.
He's physically here, but as for turning up...
one day he will win and we will all be surprised.
Right, OK.
Georgie says this, Grand National Bet Advice tip, Mr. Porky. With all of those horses you choose, make sure you place your bet with a bookie who pays out on the first 5 places.
Well, I said that. I said that some of the bookies are paying out on 5 horses now,
right.
yeah.
Well, that's what we should look for.
Okay.
I didn't hear you saying it, but now I've said it for you. Lots more to come, of course. You can find us at the 2 Mikes, at Mike Parry 8, at IROMG. Winners and losers coming up in the next hour, of course.
If you love the 2 Mikes podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
This is TalkSport Extra Time with the 2 Mikes, and because it was Easter, and I thought, the last thing, as you said, that either one of us needs is a chocolate egg.
Yes.
And I didn't really want to give you anything to eat, because I don't know whether that would ever be something that you would accept. Now, despite the fact that the last time I offered you a present, which was a £5 off voucher from the Toby Carvery, which you spurned, I thought I was walking past this shop, this rather sort of curious shop that had different things in it. I mean, I wouldn't call it a junk shop, because that would be the wrong thing to say.
A novelty shop.
Sort of a novelty shop, yeah. And I came across this book. And I thought, this is an ideal present for Mike Parry. And what it is something for you to do during those times when you don't find yourself particularly busy. And it's a sort of activity.
I'm always busy.
It's a sort of activity book, right? And we were talking about Blondie the other week, and it's to do with Debbie Harry. So please accept this as a token of my affection and tell everybody what it is. Why have you gone quiet?
Where'd you get this?
I got it in a novelty shop.
Rubbish. You're mad. You're a nutter. Do you know what this is, kids? Do you remember years and years ago, if you're a little girl, you used to get the comic called The Bunty, and they used to give you a cutout of a model, and then every week for the next 6 weeks, they used to give you clothes to cut out to dress the model. Yeah. This is Debbie Harry, paper doll, the best dress-up fun you'll have with a pair of scissors. Utter trash.
Why are you throwing it away?
And I've thrown it away. Because that's not a book even for a little boy, let alone for a grown man, mad idiot.
Well, I think it's quite... Because it would keep your hands keep you dexterous.
No.
And you really like Debbie Harry.
Rubbish.
You like Debbie Harry.
Where did you get that rubbish?
I got it in a novelty shop.
No, you didn't. You go to novelty shops.
I happened to pass one the other day.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
You didn't. No, I need to know the truth. Who gave you that wicked...
Nobody gave it to me. I picked it up in a novelty shop. I did.
Rubbish. Utter nonsense.
I was out in Camden Town. And, there's a lot of weird shops in Camden Town.
I don't believe you.
And I happened to see it there. It's not actually that old. It came out in 2010.
How's your voice?
My voice?
Yeah.
Some describe it as very rich.
Right. Do you know what Rod Stewart does these days?
I don't know.
Because he's now of a certain age.
Yeah.
And he says, look, my voice is my fortune. He refuses to speak at home
at
all. For days on end.
I like the sound of that.
I was surfing through the internet the other day, and he said, my voice gets a battering now and then, but I protect it like it was the crown jewels. It is my instrument, and I'm so paranoid about it. I drink loads of water, I sleep a lot, and I do a 90-minute warm-up before I sing.
Yeah.
He says...
I guess that's because the way, the style of his singing is very raspy, isn't it?
Yeah, but he says, I do voice rests as well, and my kids wonder why I'm not speaking. Their mum has to tell them, Daddy can't talk right now, he's working. When I feel uncomfortable, I'll retire. There's no doubt that day will come, but between now and then, I've got to preserve my voice. If that means silence, so be it.
Yeah.
I mean, that is an amazing dedication to your job.
Yeah.
Considering he's worth £200 or £300 million. Yeah. Well, I just need to just say, look, I'm not going to risk my voice any longer.
And surely talking doesn't really wear your voice out. I mean, because if it did, you and I would both be voiceless
what I'm saying.
For weeks at a time.
Well, of course, I do a bit of singing that you don't do.
And
that puts extra pressure on my voice. And I notice also that quite a lot of the time, because I'm more emphatic in what I want to say all the time, I speak louder than you.
You do, yeah.
And that means that I'm exercising
Some people would say you speak too loud.
No, they don't. No, they don't. I'm exercising my vocal cords to a greater extent than yours. But, the actual power that you use in your voice is generated not by, how strong your vocal cords are, the amount of oxygen you push out of your lungs when you're speaking.
Well, there's a technique, isn't there? Because, I remember when I first started working in radio up in Scotland, and they had one of these voice coaches come in to sort of say, one of these are the little exercises you can do before you go on the radio, but which I never really did. But I must say, that I think over the years of doing it, you learn to speak more from your abdomen, don't you, rather than speaking from your throat.
I've never had any voice lessons, have you?
Well, I've just told you, a voice coach came to the station I was working at.
Did you notice?
Well, yeah, she talked me through a bunch of stuff.
What can a voice coach
Well, a voice coach can tell you things like what you should do. They used to say that before going on the air, you should do a few exercises. You should do a few breathing exercises. You should do that. She actually said to me, she actually said to me,
do, re, mi, fa, si, lo.
Fa, so, la, ti, do.
Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do.
Yeah.
Do,
well,
if you do, all right,
stop.
Dear,
stop it, for heaven's sake.
A drop of golden sun. Yeah,
what they said to me was actually, if you're coming into work in the car and you do a bit of singing, especially if it's first thing in the morning, because sometimes your voice is worse first thing in the morning than it is later at night.
Right.
And she said, feel free to sing because it tests the range of your voice and it keeps it in practice. So I'm not sure not speaking at all actually is good for you because if you don't speak at all and then you end up starting to speak, then it might be a bit kind of raspy.
Yeah, but you know what Rod Stewart sounds like? I don't want.
Why? That's now 3 times you've sung when I asked you not to.
Talk about it. I'm trying to give an example to our listeners of what he sounds like, But you wear
That's 4
it
times
well,
now.
A little old-fashioned,
I'll tell you what.
but I don't
I'll tell you what.
mind.
Now, if you're not going to stop singing, I'm going to ask you some questions
Right,
for
go on,
this
then.
genius quiz, right?
Yeah, the genius quiz that you talked about in the first hour of the show.
That you said you've been studying, right?
Well, I had a look at it, but to be honest, to me, some of the questions were so silly that I didn't bother engaging my brain against the questions.
I don't think this would necessarily tell you whether, you are in fact a genius. Question number 4 here says, which is heavier, milk or cream?
Yeah, stupid question.
Well, what's the answer?
Well, they weigh the same. It's like the old question you were asked at school: what's heavier, a ton of gold or a ton of feathers?
No, it's not true. They say it's actually milk because cream comes to the surface, which is true as well, isn't it? Because they do say that.
Yeah, but
cream,
if you've got
the cream rises to the top, so therefore it must be lighter than milk.
No. But if you've got
it must be.
If you've got a container the same size, like a pint square or something or whatever, okay?
A pint square?
Yeah, and you put milk in and you put cream in it, they weigh the same.
I don't know if that's true.
It's true, it's absolutely true.
They've got the same volume,
yes,
so they might weigh different amounts.
No.
I mean, you could pour, I don't know, liquid gold into a pint-sized container, and it would be heavier than a pint of water, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would, yes.
So your allegory is wrong then?
No, it's not wrong. It's not wrong.
Now, here's another one then. Rearrange the letters in the word sleuth to make another word.
Sleuth.
Sleuth, yeah.
Sleuth? Sleuth. Sleuth. I'll just write them down. Hang on. That's Sleuth, right?
Sleuth.
Sleuth.
And you're a wordsmith after all.
Yes, I am. That would be...
Sometimes these are just a matter of time.
Hang on. Sleuth.
We haven't got much.
Sleuth. There's another one there which has got couch spelt the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it was so easy to get it.
Yeah.
What letters do they give you?
CHOCU.
Yes.
Rearranged to make an article of furniture.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't everybody get couch?
Well, why don't you do this one then? Rearrange the following letters to make the name of a living creature.
Right.
BRINO.
BRINO. INO. Brino.
Yeah.
That would be rhino. No, it wouldn't. That would be... What are you laughing at?
Because there's no H in Brino.
No. Well, that would be...
Couch.
No, don't be stupid. There's no animal called a norib, is there?
No.
Norib.
It's pretty obvious. Like couch was obvious to you, but how come this one wasn't?
Hang on, this is Nibron. No, Nibron? No, hang on. Well, it's not obvious.
Think about it.
Well, I've said rhino.
It did take me a bit longer than I thought, but it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. No, Brian.
Why don't you go back to the other one?
Robin,
very good. Well done.
I've got it.
Why don't you go back to sleuth then? See if you can do that.
What is sleuth again?
Yeah, rearrange the letters to make another word.
Just another word.
Just another word. Yeah, it doesn't have to be any meaning anything particular.
Okay. That could be shuttle.
Shuttle.
S.
How many T's has sleuth got in it?
TLE. Shootle.
Is that near Bootle?
Yeah, it's near Bootle, Shootle. Well, what is it then? Tell
hustle.
me. It's what?
Hustle.
Hustle. Do the hustle. Do the
That'll
hustle.
be 5 songs in the process of 10 minutes.
What was the name of the guy who did Do the Hustle?
I can't remember.
Do the Hustle. That was a disco hit in the 70s.
Yeah, it was.
Brilliant.
It certainly was.
Yeah.
Now, coming up, winners and losers very, very soon.
Okay.
But we got loads more to talk about as well. We have
certainly
the
have.
2 mics on TalkSport.
What are you playing this for?
Last of the summer wine.
Ah, that's because I told you about this new wine bottle I found.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. What's it all
Well,
about?
this was over the weekend.
You know, I had a whole. When I don't normally buy lots of wine for the place in London.
Yeah.
But I thought, because I was going to be around. Normally, I'm in Sussex, so I bought a few bottles of wine, and they're all gone.
Oh, yeah.
They're all gone.
Well, they go very quickly over a bank holiday weekend.
And my daughter came round as well, which didn't help.
Well, that says everything, doesn't it?
Shocking.
Now, let me tell you what is the great revelation.
Yeah.
Now, the wine bottle during my life has changed from always having a cork in it to always having a screw top.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Also,
it's quite annoying now when you find one with a cork in it.
Yeah,
I mean, some of the better bottles that I buy still have cork in, but not very often.
No, I totally
then
agree.
I always kind of go, oh, God.
Totally agree. And when we were early professionals, in our early days, thrusting Fleet Street, executives and that kind of stuff.
Leviathans, I thought was the word you were looking for.
Leviathans, yeah.
Leviathans.
Leviathans? Yeah, Leviathans. Okay, I'll go with you on Leviathans, yeah. So I used to go around to each other's houses in Surrey and all this kind of stuff, and I used to drink wine out of these huge cardboard boxes.
Well, I never did that.
Yeah, we did.
I never drank out of boxes of wine. I never drank out of a box of wine.
Which had a silver bag in the middle and a
I
tap
never
on the
drank out of
side.
those.
Oh, we did all the time.
The only time I drank out of those is if you went to some sort of summer party and people would have them in the kitchen sometimes.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, all the time, in the summer.
Well, that was one of the things I used to hate about going to some of those kind of low-rent type wine bars
Right.
and then having wine on tap.
Oh, no. You get that now. You still get that now. There's still some bars you go into these days. You say, I'll have a large glass of Pinot Grigio, please. Then you see them going to this tap, and you say, no, not that. Get it out the bottle.
Yeah.
Got some bottles in the fridge. It's twice as expensive out of the bottle. But
I don't care. I don't want it out of a tap.
No, I totally agree as well. Anyway, that went out of fashion, but that has now come back into fashion. Have you noticed?
What, the wine box?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I see them in supermarkets, but they're very much the kind of on the low-rent side of wine.
Well, they're not really.
Yeah,
they're not. They're okay. Anyway, look, the latest development, which is absolutely marvellous, and we should have thought about this years ago and made ourselves a fortune, is putting wine into wooden bottles.
Wooden?
They are wooden bottles. They're not wooden caskets, not wooden anything else. They're wooden bottles.
Because I suppose it's aged in wood, isn't it?
Well,
mostly?
This is the whole
In the
point.
barrels.
The only reason that sherry is the colour it is because it was made in Portugal, but it was a white spirit.
Yeah.
But to save transport costs, they brought the whiskey over in barrels from Scotland.
Yeah.
They tipped all the whiskey into, other containers to sell it, and then they were left with whiskey bottles stained on the inside with the colour of whiskey.
You mean the barrels, you mean?
The barrels.
Yeah.
So they put their sherry
I thought
back
it was
in
because
there.
of the red wine stage.
No. So they put their sherry, which is white, in there, and then as it went across the Bay of Biscay and round the English Channel and got back to Britain, by the time it got back, it had been stained.
And so it had become this kind of
sherry.
golden colour.
So,
because actually, it does look more like a kind of a whiskey type colour, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, and so the wine that we drink these days has had no oaking process apart from when it was made and stored. And I mean, even these days, you can go into a Yates's Wine Lodge and you can ask for wine from the wooden barrel.
Yeah, but why would you though?
Well, because you like some people like it to be oak matured.
Yeah.
And anyway, the point is you can now get it in wooden bottles, and they're going to become increasingly popular on your shelves. They're not that much more expensive. In fact, they're cheaper to make than glass, and they're not...
So who's making these wine... Who's putting wine in wooden bottles then? Where can you get it? Or is it just something they're thinking about doing?
I think you'll find that actually the best way to do it is to go and get your own wooden bottle. Do you see what I mean?
Oh, so where can you buy a wooden bottle, though?
You can buy them anywhere.
I've never seen a wooden bottle.
Yeah, I saw loads of them over the weekend. There's wooden bottles all over the place.
What do you mean all over the place?
Oh, in shops.
What, wooden bottle shop?
Yeah, the wooden bottle shop.
Where on earth?
You know what I'm talking about.
No, because I want to know where I can get, because I might give it a go.
Where did I see a wooden bottle?
Where have you seen a wooden bottle? I don't believe you.
How dare you?
I do not believe you've seen a wooden bottle. How dare you
question my integrity? I saw a wooden bottle in a shop that sold vases and things.
Wooden vases?
No.
like everything
Ordinary
wood?
vases and those sort of things.
Really?
It was definitely there. And I thought, that's a great idea. I'm going to get 2 or 3 of those.
So
now,
is the idea that you put it in there and store it for a
That's
while
right.
so that it picks up some kind of tincture or other?
you can oak age wine in hours rather than years
Right.
by putting it into the oak bottle. That's what it's called.
Right.
It imparts an authentic aged flavour,
Yeah.
a process that can take up to 2 years if you stored it in a barrel. And this happens in just a day or two. The product retails at £50, and it's the brainchild of a young 30-year-old entrepreneur called Yoel Paglioni.
Oh, yeah. What, you mean £50 per bottle?
£50 per bottle.
I'm having a laugh.
No.
Are you serious? Why would you spend 50 quid on an empty bottle made of wood?
Well, because it makes the wine taste better.
Well, how long do you have to age it then?
2 days.
2 days.
2 days, that's
Well, do you
all.
remember? I'll tell you, in the 90s,
Yes.
when lots of people used to drink Chardonnay. It
Yes.
was very much the kind of drink of that decade. And one of the things that I gave up in the end was drinking it because it was so oaky. Some of that Australian Chardonnay that was around.
Yeah,
it was
I
really
agree.
kind of thick and almost treacly. And then suddenly they started selling unoaked Chardonnay because they realised that actually people preferred the taste.
Right.
So I don't know that I even like oaked wine particularly, you know?
Right,
So
okay.
I definitely wouldn't want more oaky wine. I'd want less oaky wine.
Yeah, but this doesn't get like treacle or anything like that. It just has this lovely distinct flavour.
Right.
Now, it says to the connoisseur, like me, for instance,
Yeah.
right? To the connoisseur.
I'm not sure you could keep a bottle of wine in your house for 2 days anyway.
Yeah.
without
Aging
drinking
a
it.
wine overnight is the holy grail of wine lovers. It's like finding the elixir of eternal youth in reverse.
Oh, yeah.
But can a simple gizmo really mimic such a time-honoured process? Well, we'll have to try it, perhaps. The oak bottle looks like a wooden version of the thermos flask, OK?
Yeah.
It's the sort of thing that you might find in your picnic hamper if you went on picnics and all that kind of stuff.
Does it keep it cool as well, I wonder?
No, not necessarily, because you're mostly dealing with red wine anyway.
Yeah.
So what? You don't need it cool, do you? You don't need it cool.
No, true.
Yeah. So this is the way forward. I think what I'm saying is every drinking person now, including yourself, because you seem to get through voluminous amounts of booze at weekends
I
now.
do,
You know,
yeah.
you seem to have got out of control, to be honest. I didn't want to mention it on air, but I mean, you know, you do. Can you even count the number of bottles that you've got at 4 o'clock on Sunday morning in your house?
How many
Can
what?
you even count them?
Yeah,
Can you
yeah.
even count
No,
them?
it wasn't that many. I mean, it was maybe 4 or 5, something like that.
4 or 5 bottles?
Yeah.
But you were drinking on your own?
No, it wasn't. No, my daughter was there. I told you.
She left at midnight,
Well, she left at midnight, yeah, but that included some of the stuff that was drunk while she was there.
and then you had another 2 bottles yourself?
Well, probably, yeah.
Goodness gracious me.
Over the course of several hours.
Dear, I don't know, honestly, I sometimes wonder. Anyway, look, this is a great idea. Once again, I brought it to your attention.
Well,
Great-
I, for one, am not spending £50 on some kind of container to put wine in. That's ridiculous. If I had that kind of money, I'd spend £50 on a bottle of wine and just drink it.
For instance, according to the tests I've looked at, if you buy yourself a Merlot from Tesco for £4.20,
Yeah.
by the time you left it in your bottle for 2 days, it tastes like a £9 bottle of wine. That's the advantage of it.
So you'd have to
That's the advantage
you'd have
of
to
it.
do that over 10 times in order to get your money back. If you pay
Oh, yeah,
50 quid.
yeah, but these bottles last for years. I mean, you do it 10 times over a weekend, the amount of booze you drink.
No, I don't think so.
Let me tell you.
No.
Well,
I think
it's
I'd
it's
rather
a great
buy.
idea.
I would not buy a Merlot for £4.20, by the way, because it's rubbish.
Well, you say that, but of course you can get a bit snobbish about.
Well, I
Hey,
just know what I like.
talking about expensive things, right? You will not believe this. I saw a thing about a planning application in London.
Yeah.
There is a sheikh, right?
Yeah.
Who, and I think he's from Dubai. Although I thought Dubai had gone bankrupt a couple of years ago, and all the
Dubai.
property.
Well, it didn't go.
prices-
I mean, it's never going to go bankrupt, but certainly
Yeah.
they built an awful lot of buildings and couldn't sell a lot of the apartments. But I think
Okay.
it's probably coming back.
This guy from Dubai has got permission to build a personal 6-storey car park in the middle of London, right in the middle of London, for his fleet of cars. He's got 100. He's got 100 luxury
100
motors.
cars?
He's got 100 luxury motors. It will house up to 114 cars, and it will have a 5-star accommodation for chauffeurs and staff. Being built
That's unbelievable.
by the billionaire Emir of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum.
Yeah, I don't think he's going bankrupt anytime
Have you ever
soon.
been to Dubai?
I have, yeah, but a long time ago.
Everything in Dubai is owned by the Maktoum family.
Yeah.
So, for instance, when you go on the airlines, what's
Yeah.
it called? What's the Dubai airline? It's not called
I
Dubai.
don't think it's Emirates. It's Emirates,
I think it is
is
Emirates.
the Abu Dhabi one, isn't it? Oh, no, that's
No,
that's
it is
Etihad,
Emirates.
isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is Emirates.
Yeah, I think it is
Thinking
Emirates,
of Emirates, right. And as you get on, there's like a plaque on the inside of the plane saying, you know, and a picture of a guy, and it says, in honour of the, esteemed chairman of this company.
Well,
and
Emirates,
his name is Maktoum.
Yeah, well, Emirates now has reached its kind of hand into almost every sporting country in the world in Europe, isn't it? I mean, it's got connection to Spain. It's got the stadium at Arsenal.
When you get to Dubai, right, there's a picture of a member of the Maktoum family in the hotel foyer saying he's the chairman of the hotel group and all that. The Maktoums run everything, and of course they've got all these horses in this country and all that. This thing is being built next to Battersea Heliport. You know where that is, right?
Yeah, I do.
We all both know where that is. We pass it,
Battersea.
Exactly, by the River Thames, so that he and his associates, including his 23 children,
Amazing.
can arrive in the capital by helicopter and jump straight into whichever luxury car they like. In the car park next door. Yeah. But neighbours say they're worried the road will be spoiled by the estimated 120 cars arriving and departing each day.
Well, they're not going to be coming in and out every day with 100 cars, are they?
Unbelievable.
But the wealth is outrageous. I mean, funnily enough, when I went to Dubai, you might remember this story. It was my last job, actually, as a reporter.
Yeah.
Before I was turned into an executive in the Fleet Street
that's
arena,
right. Yeah, that was a sad day.
Yeah, it was a sad day.
For journalism.
Yeah. Very sad day for lots of reasons. But it was a story about the two British people who were out in Dubai. They were living in one of the Emirates, actually, next to UAE, and they were found to be committing adultery because they were married to other people, and they were put in jail. Right. And the jails were unbelievable. So we flew out, and it was one of these mob-handed things. Everybody got out to the airport. Sure. Everybody got on the same flight. We actually drank the plane dry. They ran out of everything, which was in true Fleet Street fashion.
Yeah, excellent.
We went through the white wine, then the red wine, then we went through the little short spirits they had. They even eventually ran out of Cointreau, which tells you how bad it was.
Indeed.
But I got out to Dubai and I thought to myself, we had some spare time because we ended up doing a deal with the guys, and we got them out of prison, and one of them was going to sell their exclusive story, and I was like, don't do that, because if you sell exclusive to one, then everybody else is going to pile in.
You off.
No, I just said everybody's going to pile in and find out what this guy's done in his life, and we'll do a spoiler. Yeah. Anyway, I said to this taxi driver, I got in the taxi, I said, can you take me to like the old town? So I'd like to see the souk and all that. And he looked at me and he went, what are you talking about? I said, I want to, the old... He said, there is no old town. And it's true. And there was nothing... No, there was nothing there. There was never an old town.
Oh,
it only became a city, in 1972.
Because it was Dubai.
Yeah, it was only in 1972 they started building it.
I nearly got arrested there because
Not surprisingly.
No, I drank all night at the... They've got there's a fantastic golf club.
They don't like drunkenness either.
It's called the Yacht and Golf Club. Yeah. It's the same thing.
Right.
I drank there all night, and then I got challenged to a game of golf at 6 a.m. because we've been drinking there all night. Seriously. Right. And I said, I'm no good. And they gave me this fantastic set of clubs. And I said, honestly, I'm no good.
Did they give you a little cart to drive around in?
Well, yeah, we had one of those with a driver. But I said, look, I shouldn't play with you. I'm no good. Anyway, I went out in par.
Really?
I was brilliant, utterly brilliant. Right. But we'd bet a lot of money. Yeah. And I told them I was no good. When we turned round and the alcohol started wearing off... Yeah. I was like hopeless and useless. It was only because I was massively intoxicated I managed to hit the ball straight. Yeah. But when you got to the halfway line, these guys threatened to have me arrested because they said I was a fraudulent cheat because I told them I was no good and I was brilliant.
Right. Fantastic.
I was brilliant under the influence of alcohol.
Maybe you should pass that advice on to Tiger Woods. He's going to play in the Masters. Tell him to stay up all night and get absolutely bladdered.
That's right. Yeah, that's what it was. Honestly,
could well be. Now, this is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There is a podcast. It will be coming out in around about 6 hours from now. Coming up next, though, it's time for Winners and Losers. This is TalkSport Extra Time with the Two Mics, and it is, of course, a Monday night going into Tuesday morning. The Easter weekend is well and truly over. There's been some amazing contests, some incredible goals scored, and even a couple of teams getting themselves one managerless and one relegated already this early in the season. But, of course, it's also time now for Mr. Mike Parry to take on Mr. Toby Gillies in the Winners and Losers contest, which Toby seemingly can't get a win on.
And I believe this is my strongest list ever of winners and losers.
Do you?
My strongest nominees ever.
Okay.
I've been working on this all weekend.
Week.
No, these are even stronger. I mean, you're right. I get better by the week. I'm like a colossus that grows.
You only drew last week. So
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean,
yeah, but you gave up last week.
Yeah,
didn't
you were given a sympathy
threw in the
point.
towel.
Only because the gun was put to my head.
Yeah.
Actually, have you seen the number of tweeters who this week actually thought you were appalling to have given in, thrown in the towel,
Well,
gave
they-
up, loser, written all over your
They
forehead.
can't see the gun that was placed on my head yesterday. Last week.
That's because
can
it
they?
doesn't exist. Now,
Right, well, let's get underway.
Mr. Parry, let's have your 3 winners of the weekend.
3 winners?
Yeah.
OK, here we go. Right, my first winner...
Oh, hang on, I've just been told we have to do the losers first.
Losers first, right.
Yeah.
You want my losers?
Yeah.
Right, OK. My losers are, first of all, Rojo.
Rojo? Is that like short for something like Bojo?
He's the Manchester United defender, right?
You mean Rojo?
Rojo.
Yeah.
Rojo. He's the Manchester United defender who actually played in the back line for Argentina in the World Cup final.
Yeah.
25 years of age, has a partner in life, 2 children, got a legal order banning a lady who's 34 from actually spilling the beans on a one-night fling with him.
Oh, yeah.
That order was overturned last week,
Yeah.
and now the full grisly details, and they are pretty grisly,
Yeah.
involving sexual acts.
Full sex?
No, not actually, but sexual acts being performed on Royo while his... while
How
his...
many different ways can you say it?
While a few of his mates were watching, by the way, it wasn't very dignified.
Royo Bojo.
Yeah, that's
Is that what
right.
you're telling
It wasn't
me?
very dignified. But he now is the world's biggest loser because it's now all over the newspapers.
Yeah.
And
he's
life,
wasted a bucket load of money trying to stop it coming out, presumably.
and had to pay £35,000 of the lady's costs
Yeah.
because she tried to defend herself, but she didn't have any money.
That's an expensive Rojo.
And the allegation that he was willing to offer £100,000 to stop her talking.
Yeah.
A very, very expensive business.
Right.
I would say the loser of the week
Okay.
by a mile.
But just in case he's not, what else you got?
We've got Bin Al Saar, the gentleman who owns Manchester City, because they are now the losers.
Yeah.
They've never put any momentum together to defend their Premier League title. It is now lost to them. Mr. Pellegrini is too obvious to be named the loser of the week, because he is. But what about the people who own Manchester City and wanted to
Yeah.
build it into this dynastic European club? And the thing is, they've got nowhere in Europe once again, and they won't be getting anywhere in Europe next season either.
What's the name of the guy, though?
Mr. Bin Al Saar.
Bin Al Saar?
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you sure?
Of course I am. Of course I am.
Isn't
Right.
it Sheikh Mansour?
That's him. That's
Yeah.
him.
Bin
But
Al Saar.
No, but that's
and
his,
Royo.
his Christian
I
name
think
is
the
Bin
problem
Al.
with the first 2 is that since you can't pronounce either of them,
His Christian name is Bin Al. Don't worry about it.
doesn't have a
I've got
Christian
it.
name.
I've got
what
it.
about number 3?
Number 3 has to be the loser of the week.
Yeah.
Dave Whelan. Because
No, that's an easy name. Anybody could get that one.
All right, well, I'll cancel that and give you an even better one.
No, I
then.
like Dave Whelan.
Right, Dave Whelan, who has absolutely decimated and smashed, A, his own reputation, B, the reputation of Wigan Athletic,
Yeah.
C, the fabric and the consistency of Wigan Athletic, and now he's dragged his grandson into this mire, this terrible, frustrating, confusing and pretty tacky situation involving Malky Mackay, who would have been the loser of the week had it not been for Dave Whelan.
OK. Now, we're taking a bit of time to do those, so Toby, let's have your losers. I'll try and give you equal time, but then we'll have to rush through the winners.
Okay.
That's all right. I can do mine quickly. I've gone for the one that Mr. Parry didn't go for, Malky Mackay.
Okay.
As if it wasn't going to be hard enough for him to get another job, given the history and all the problems he's had with the racism issues and all that sort of thing. He got 9 points from 72 possible at Wigan. He's out on his ear, and nobody's going to hire him again.
Too
It was
obvious.
terrible
Okay.
football,
Too
and it
obvious.
was terrible for him to lose his job.
Number 2.
Turkish football. We often look at the Turkish league. It's one of the most passionate in the world, but it's gone overboard.
I think passionate's not really the word that you should
well,
be
there's
using now, is it?
huge passion there, isn't
Yeah,
there?
but
They're
when
mad
people start
about their
shooting
football.
people, I think
well,
that's
this
a
is
bad
the,
idea.
This is the point. The passion has gone overboard, and this is why it's the loser. Shots fired at Fenerbahce's coach when they left Rizespor the other day. Their driver was injured. The football now has been suspended.
Yeah,
We need
quite
to make
rightly.
people around the world
Quite rightly.
realise that no matter how much we like to feel otherwise, it is, in the end, just a game.
Yeah, it is.
Manuel Iturra.
Who's
a
he?
name that you may or may not know of.
I
No,
don't.
nobody's ever heard
Here's
of him.
the question for you. What's worse than being on a team that loses 9-1?
10-1?
Well, no, losing 9-1 and then also suffering one of the most crushing testicular blows that you can imagine.
Yeah, well, I guess that would be bad.
Manuel Iturra plays for Granada. He tried to block the opening goal scored by Real Madrid in their game
is that the
by
one when
Gareth
Ronaldo
Bale.
scored 5 goals?
Yeah, it was. Gareth Bale scored the opener. Iturra sliding in to try and block this ball. Not only was it in vain, he smashed into the post, full
Oh.
pelt, legs either side of it, absolute agony.
Yeah.
Big loser of the weekend.
Yeah, but he'll recover, though, won't he? I think I'm going to give you a point each for Malky Mackay and Dave Whelan, and I guess you'll have to share the loser. Let's go for the winners.
What about Royo?
Yeah, I can't give you it for not pronouncing his name right.
Don't be ridiculous. Right, winners.
Winners? Go first, because the only reason you didn't get the full
Yeah.
points there was because of the name name problems.
Rubbish.
Because you would have got Manchester City's owners or Rojo
Yeah.
if you'd pronounced them right. But,
Well, I did pronounce
Or
them
even
right.
got the name right at all.
Yeah, well,
in the
exactly.
City owner
I did
case.
pronounce them
Let's
right.
have your winners.
Right, the winners are easy, and I've got a great one here. First of all, Joey Barton, okay?
yeah.
Because Joey Barton scored the final goal. I mean, you've got to remember, 2 years ago, this guy was out of football after getting sent off at in the final and letting his team down. Now he's a captain. He's got it going. The second winner. Nathan,
He also looked like he was going to get his head knocked off in that challenge. And
yes,
he just
did.
got up, didn't he?
He
Which is
did.
extraordinary.
He did, absolutely, yeah, and he didn't complain about it and scored the goal. My second winner, of course, is Nathan Mornings. I drink fornings Advocaat.
There's been a lot of singing on this show.
Dick Advocaat,
Yeah,
of course,
okay.
he won his derby, his North East derby. But the third one,
Yeah.
and this to me is the winner, and this is the greatest winner of all time. It is Brutus, the bionic dog.
Hey?
This poor little dog was left outside by its breeder 2 years ago in the freezing cold, temperatures of -35 in Winnipeg, in Canada, and he lost all 4 paws of his little legs
Well,
to frostbite.
Hey.
Frostbite. And do you know what? Over the last 6 months, they've put bionic paws on the end of his legs.
Bionic paws.
And Brutus is trotting around
That's
again
great.
now.
I like that.
Brutus is trotting around again now. He's a lovely little dog,
That's
and we all love him.
That's fantastic. You're going to
Thank
have to try very hard to beat that one, Mr. Gillies.
Thank you.
Okay, well, my first, and I will admit that this is taking a little bit of a liberty, but I haven't had a chance to talk about it any other place. Troy Deeney. Troy Deeney, who scored for Watford yesterday against
He's a
Middlesbrough.
Watford fan, of course.
He is. It was his 20th goal for Watford this season. He's now done that in 3 consecutive seasons.
Yeah.
Watford's most consistent ever striker. Nobody's ever done that for Watford before.
Wow.
But also, this is a man who's had huge problems in his past. He's been to
Has
prison.
he lost his feet to frostbite?
He hasn't lost his feet to
Yeah, with
frostbite.
fans like you,
Yeah,
But
mate.
it was a reminder
No wonder he's got
that you
problems.
can turn your life around after a violent past that
Yeah.
got him into prison. He is now the leader of Watford Football Club on the pitch,
Come on,
and he's a
Watford, get a better
legend
class
off
of
it as
fan.
well.
Okay.
The Barclays Premier League is a huge winner this weekend because not only, as already slightly hinted at by Mr. Parry, as the relegation fight suddenly got interesting again, Leicester winning, Burnley only getting a draw against Spurs,
Yeah.
Villa and Hull are in it, QPR got a victory, but also lovers of wonder goals all over the world have been reminded not only is it as an exciting a league as there is in the world, but the technical quality that we often bemoan is there.
How generalised
Rooney,
is that?
But as I said,
Defoe,
why don't we
Adams,
see it?
Zamora.
But we don't see it for England, so it's kind of wasted
Well,
on the
I'm
Premier
not
League,
talking
isn't
about
it?
England. I'm talking about the Barclays Premier League.
Yeah.
All incredible strikes, all technical strikes, 4 different types of goals. What a weekend for the Barclays Premier League.
Okay, what else?
My final one is Miko Nagaoka.
Miko Nagaoka.
I'm sure you know all about her. She took up swimming, aged 82. 18 years later, I should say, she yesterday became the first 100-year-old to complete a 1,500-metre freestyle swim in a 25-metre pool. She already holds the record to doing it in her age range for a 50-metre pool. She did it in an hour and 15 minutes. An incredible world record, an incredible
Has she
woman.
lost any of her limbs?
She
Hey?
is a winner.
Has she lost any of her limbs?
Well, no, because she's such a wonderful winner.
Yeah.
She
Well, I'll tell you
doesn't
what,
need to.
I've been touched, really, by the Brutus story, and I'm
Thank
afraid
you.
I'm going to have to give the winner points to
Thank
Mr.
you.
Parry. Brutus, the dog, really loves a
Unbelievable.
bionic dog with no paws.
Not even a
I'm
person.
sorry, Toby, but I'm afraid Mike Parry's won
Not
it
even,
again.
not even
Absolutely
vaguely
Absolutely
sporting.
extraordinary stuff. Thank you very much indeed. There'll be more on the winners and losers same time next week on TalkSport. I mean, you've got nieces and nephews and stuff. They
No.
might have liked it.
Oh, yeah, well, they're all in their 20s now, mate.
Well,
I mean,
so?
it's belittling. And,
Well, it wasn't meant to be
No,
belittling.
it is belittling.
It
I'm
was-
not having you trying to make a fool of me.
I wasn't trying to make a fool of you. You should be so paranoid.
You
I mean,
know,
what
I
you
will
should
fight
do-
back if you try
what
to
you
make
should do-
foolishness out of me.
What you should do is accept any gift that's given to you with good grace, and then
Yeah.
if it's not nice, I mean, what if somebody gives you a present at Christmas time or
Yeah,
for your birthday
yeah.
that you don't like? You don't throw it in their
Listen,
face.
pal.
You take it away and you put it somewhere else.
Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, okay? It's
So-
rubbish.
So horrendous.
It's rubbish.
Now, anyway,
I mean, it didn't come from the goodness of your heart.
Yeah,
it
it
came
did.
from the wickedness of
No,
your heart.
it did not.
Try and make me feel foolish.
I just thought it would be something you like because you like Debbie Harry anyway, and that was another Blondie song that we just heard. But the reason we're talking about when we played that is because phones are very much the order of the day. Do you remember when you told me that your phone battery ran out when you were down on the coast the other week.
That's
and,
right.
You went over crossing the ferry, and you think that the battery dying is now something becoming more and more frequent.
Well, do you know, it's not just my phone. I thought at first it must be my phone. When I first got this phone, it had a bum battery anyway. The battery got bent.
Yeah.
So it was running out all the time.
Right.
But when I got it replaced, I thought, well, that's okay. But I mean, I don't know whether our listeners have got, better phones than I have, but this is a very modern phone. The battery does not last more than a few hours if you're using the phone, continually to ring people, to send messages, to check out your tweets and all that kind of stuff. It honestly, you have to. These days, I told you, a new lightweight charger to carry around with me because. Well,
But does that mean you have to find various kind of places to charge it, though?
Yeah, but almost everybody these days is aware of the fact that people will come into your premises if you've got...
And in fact, sometimes you have to find a plug. It's not always that easy to find.
You have to find a plug and all that, but on most trains now, there's a plug at your seat. Even in second
first class?
No, even in second class, I've noticed now, yeah. And Jane Moore, who writes the column in The Sun, old colleague of ours, right, she said in one passing comment the other day something about the amount of time now it takes you to get through airport security. Yeah. By the time you get to the other side, your mobile phone batteries run out.
And do you remember they've never actually done this, but they did issue a warning at one point that they were going to say if your tablet or your phone was not properly charged,
that's right,
that they would actually not let you on the
confiscate
plane.
them, yeah, that's right.
But they never seem to carry that out.
No, it's quite ridiculous. But I mean, how long does your phone last?
Well, my phone's relatively new, and generally
Mine's
speaking,
relatively new.
If I bring it in, like I've brought it in tonight, it was fully charged and I brought it in, it's hardly lost any charge at all, and I've had it on most of the time. I find that generally speaking, if you shut down all the apps that you've got on it as often as you can, then it won't waste. But certainly, once I've had one of these iPhones for about a year, it starts to die a lot quicker. But I pretty much am never far from a place where I can charge it really. So
but your phone, you seem to have problems with your phone a lot more than I do. You're always asking our executive producer for a charger. Now,
he's always asking me for a charger.
No, I'm more disciplined.
He's always asking me for a charger.
I got mine charged before we came out tonight. What time did I leave home? About 10:30 or something like that tonight.
Really?
And half of the power in my phone's now gone. So that's like 5 hours ago.
Well, what were you doing for the hour and a half before you got here?
5.5 hours. What do you mean?
Well, where were you?
What do you mean, where was I? I was in the car.
Well, it didn't take you an hour and a half to get here, did it?
Yes, it does. Of course it does.
An hour and a half?
No. It takes me half an hour to get here.
Well, you weren't here at 11 o'clock.
Yes, I was.
Were you?
I get here every night at 11 o'clock.
Well, I didn't see you when I got here.
Well, you don't look hard enough, do you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
And you might not have been here at 11 o'clock
No,
anyway.
I wasn't here at 11
Don't
o'clock.
think your car was outside.
I was here at 12.
Yeah, okay.
And
so
you weren't here yet.
No, yes, I was, you fool. You put your car around the back. I put mine in the front. Just get your act together, pal. Now, the other thing I want to tell you about these phones is that when I went into the car phone warehouse last week and bought that new lightweight charger, which I now carry around in my pocket.
How much was it?
£17, £16.99, right? I said to the young lady, a very attractive young lady, actually, behind the counter, I said, is it just my phone? And she said, no, they do. They go incredibly quickly these days. Because...
Well, this is why I was thinking of you when I read on the front page of the Telegraph this morning. Yeah. New phone battery tops up in under a minute.
Oh, right.
This is apparently something that they've invented over at Stanford University. And it says an iPhone 6 takes around 2 hours to fully charge with its built-in battery. But if you now get this... new aluminium power source, it will charge completely from zero in about 60 seconds.
Yeah, OK, that's fine. But how long will the battery then stay charged?
Well, it doesn't matter if you can recharge it in a minute, does it?
Well, it does if you're out and about again, because, again, you've got to go looking for a plug to plug it in and recharge it again, haven't you?
You shouldn't be out for so long that your battery runs dead, really.
Well, you can be. You can be out all day, can't you?
Well, all right, if you say that you've lost half your charge in what you would call...
5 hours.
5 hours. So that's 10 hours. I mean, you're not going to be away from a place you can charge your phone for 10 hours unless you're going into the desert or something.
Yeah, but hang on. In our previous lives as hotshot reporters on the road... when we didn't even have mobile phones. But if we did have mobile phones, you would be using them on a constant basis. They wouldn't last more than 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, but I
Seriously.
mean, in the days when we were on the road, the mobile phones were so prehistoric that you can't even really compare. But I mean, if you were on the road now as a reporter, you would have a charger in your car, right? You would have it, so wherever you were driving, you'd be charging it. You would not go for 10 hours without visiting some form of restaurant stroke pub where you could charge it.
But I don't understand why mobile phone technology has gone backwards. The first phones, which those big blocks and all that, battery lasted 2 hours. That was all it did.
Yeah.
And then...
But also you didn't have it on constantly. You only used it to make a call, didn't you?
Yeah. But then the selling point became, the new generation of mobile phones with a battery that lasts 3 days. They literally used to last 3 days. Yeah. You didn't have to bother charging them. But what's happened since then is it's gone completely backwards again because now all the energy from the battery is used in the camera, it's used in the apps, it's used in all the, the millions
web
of
surfing and all that.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff, and it runs it down so much more quickly. When I said to the attractive young lady in Carphone Warehouse, this was in the Portsmouth branch, in case she's listening, and
why would she think anything differently than what she thought when she saw you if she's listening?
Well, because
did you ask her out?
No, of course I didn't. That'd be silly, but I'm talking up her professional attitude for the job.
Did she have a name badge on?
Yes, she did.
Do you remember her name?
I think it was Debbie.
Debbie?
I think so.
Right.
I think so. Because what she said to me was, I said, look, it's almost gone, my phone. I said, I've got to buy a charger. She said, OK. She said, well, are you in town for... I said, yes, in fact, I've got to meet somebody for a quick drink. She said, well, give me your phone. I'll charge it up for you here. I said,
do you think she went through it?
No, I doubt it very much indeed.
I bet she did.
I haven't had my bank account cleared out or anything like that. And anyway, that's horrible to suggest that the young lady would have any...
Most people presented with the opportunity to go through somebody else's phone would do it.
Well, she wouldn't go through mine because she didn't at the time know who I was.
Yeah, but has it got a lock on it?
It doesn't matter if it does. She knows how to unlock it. She works in Carphone
Warehouse. She doesn't know how to unlock it if you put a passcode in.
Oh, I haven't got a passcode.
Right, so she probably went through it.
Well, I doubt it very much.
I would have done.
Would you?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, just see what's on there. You might find some criminal activity, or you might be a terrorist. There might be any number of reasons.
They deal with so many phones by day.
If I was working in a phone shop, and you came to me and I said, "I'll take your phone, come back in 2 hours," guaranteed I would go through it.
Yeah, but that's the sort of snivelling toe rag that you are. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't do that sort of thing.
It's their duty.
I wouldn't invade somebody else's privacy like that.
It is their duty to do that, just in case there's anything criminal that's going on in the use of one of their phones.
I would not invade somebody else's privacy. Anyway, the point I said to her was, I said, why don't I just buy a new battery? She said, oh, yes, you could do that. I said, OK, well, give me one. She said, you can't buy one here.
What about a battery?
Sorry?
And what about a battery while you're at it?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
And she said, well, we haven't got any. I said, well, what do you mean about buying a new one? She said, you can buy a new one. She said, but you'd have to give me your phone for at least a week.
Yeah.
And we send it away.
And then she could go through it some more.
No. She said, we send it away and put a new battery in it because, it's not like the old days. You just took a battery out and put one in. And I said, what do I do? She said, I'll give you lend you a pay-as-you-go phone or something like that.
That's terribly inconvenient because then you've got a different number and everything.
And I said, can I keep the same number and all? I think she said you could. I think you take the...
Well, you could put the SIM card
in,
exactly,
and all that. But she said, but you will lose some of the capacity, some of your memory and all that kind of stuff. And I said, well, no, that's no good. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a real problem, the modern mobile phone.
Get yourself one of these aluminum, as they would call it in Stanford, chargers, and we'll see what it's like.
Yeah, but as I say, it doesn't solve the biggest problem that I've got. It's a lithium-ion battery. It's used in millions of laptops and smartphones. Takes so long to charge. This one, they're so volatile. You're absolutely right. Some airlines no longer accept them on passenger flights.
Yeah.
The electrolyte is basically a salt that's liquid at room temperature, so it's very safe.
Right.
What's that, the new one?
Yeah, the new one, yeah.
I can't believe this. Added Stanford graduate student Ming Gong. Very strange name.
Yeah, well, of course. Now, we're going to talk about California later in the week because they're suffering a terrible drought.
They are, yeah.
But here's what I want to ask you about. Your good friend Steve Sherwood returns to play one of his old foes, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Because he's coming up against Les Ferdinand at QPR. And, there was three of them, wasn't there, at Spurs, who were all together running the place. Right. And then he's got to go and play at Tottenham with Aston Villa.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you because tonight it's Aston Villa QPR.
It is.
And they return, as I say, I mean, it's a massive game. What do you think is going to
happen? It's at Villa.
Yeah.
And actually, that's a bit... it's a bit unfair on QPR because they've had two away games. They won their away game against West Brom, didn't they, on Saturday, 4-1.
Yeah.
Brilliant result for them. Now, can they replicate the idea that QPR could win two away games on the trot? Is, in my view, impossible.
Yeah, but they stayed in the Midlands apparently after that. Game.
Yeah.
They didn't bother coming back to London.
No, I can accept that and I understand that. But do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you look at the capabilities of that team this year, I just think the idea of them trying to win two consecutive away games.
Under Harry Redknapp, they hadn't won an away game at all, had they?
No, they hadn't. No.
So the idea that they could win two in a row.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Back to back, because they did win one more away game about a month ago, if you see what I mean. That was their first away game.
Right.
The second one was West Brom, and now they got this one. I don't think they can do it. I think Tim Sherwood's team will prevail.
And do you think? So you mean Aston Villa will stay up and QPR will go down? Because
Yes,
that's
I
basically
do.
what this game is
Yes,
about.
I do.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, even if QPR
And if anybody
did
had
win,
looked at that at Christmas, they'd have said that is the pattern, and I think that's the way it'll work out.
it'd be extraordinary, though, wouldn't it? If they could win, by 1 or 2-0, then they would jump out of relegation.
Oh,
QPR.
they'd only have to win 1-0, and then they leap above Aston Villa.
Yeah.
And Aston Villa are then in the bottom 3 with 7 games to go.
Yeah.
So I just don't think it'll happen. I'm sorry.
Very exciting.
I mean, I think that and I don't want to be negative towards QPR because I was there just a few weeks ago. It's a very nice club. Thank you for the hospitality. But what I'm saying is, I just don't believe that after the season they've had, QPR can suddenly have a run of form right at the end of the season, which will save them.
Sunderland did, didn't they?
Yes, Sunderland did, and including beating Chelsea, wasn't it, last year?
Exactly.
And that cost Chelsea the Premier League title. But I don't know why. I just can't see it happening. And the other thing that I don't think, I just don't think the QPR setup is strong enough for them to be able to survive in the Premier League. I think once Harry went, I'm sorry, it was all over for me.
Yeah, you might well be right.
Yeah.
We have, I must say, I feel slightly remiss because we've gone through all the whole Monday show not talking about Everton. Everton got 3 points at the weekend.
Yeah, and
so now you mustn't be worried. I don't think you ever were that they would fall into
No.
that relegation trap.
It was their 3rd consecutive victory, 9 points out of 9. If we'd had that just after Christmas, we'd have been on a high and we'd have said, right, let's build the second half of the season. Didn't come then, it came now. Without being unkind to our opponents, they're not the 3 strongest teams in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Newcastle, who are very average, QPR, who were struggling against relegation. I'm glad we didn't meet QPR on the day when they fired themselves up and beat West Brom 4-1. Yeah. That's a lucky break for us, just by 7 days. And then Southampton, who really, I think, have just run out of steam at the end of the season. Yeah. If we'd have played them 3 months ago, we probably wouldn't have got that result
Ronald
either.
Koeman was the great sort of rising star, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. So I would say, quite lucky Everton in the timings of it all. But obviously delighted, and we never were relegation fodder. But
I never really believed that.
No, but it's taken a lot of the doubts and the pressure off. So we're pretty happy about that.
Now coming up tomorrow, we'll be tweeting out on this later on. It's Ask Porky night. So
of course it is.
Any questions that you may have that Mr. Parry can answer, whether they be of a romantic nature, just some general advice, holiday destinations, that kind of thing.
That's it.
You tweet them at the 2 mics, and we'll select some for the broadcast a little bit later on. And also, of course, it will be Aston Villa QPR will have happened by then.
It will have.
Our verdict.
See if my prediction comes true
see
or
if
not.
Your prediction comes true or not. They don't normally, but we shall see. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Parry. There will be a podcast, of course, coming out a little bit later on this morning, sometime around about 9:30, 10 o'clock usually, if all things fire properly. We shall see. It was a bit delayed on Good Friday because I think it was a bit of a skeleton staff that were in on Talksport.
No, I think you just took your eye off the ball, as usual, because it's a bank holiday.
Absolutely rubbish. Don't forget to follow the 2 mics, at the 2 mics on Twitter and on YouTube.
I had a beef butty.